Okay, seems like I should be live. Find out in a second. Make sure it's all working the way we want. Okay, it seems to be working the way we want. So then we'll change this. Got to do this every time. I don't know how to do it not this way. Hello, everybody. Whoever pops on in. I just have to change the thumbnail for YouTube. That's what I'm doing. So what errors? There's no errors. Oh, okay. No, it's not made for kids. And it's not going to be in any playlist. Show more. Okay. Tags. Resident Evil. Horror. Scary. Jump scare. Capcom. Hardcore. Retro for the for the first time. RFTFT. That's good enough for tags. And that should be good. Okay, save. So thumbnail should be updated. Looks like my stream is live. Okay, stream is live. Thumbnail is updated. Twitch seems to be live too. For those of you, anybody who popping in, I'm on both YouTube and Twitch. So there is some complications to getting the stream started every time, but we're here and we're live, and that's what matters. Hello, Ivan. How are you? Welcome. Nice to see you. Thanks for stopping by. And Inuyugi, hello to you as well. Hello, 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 everybody. I hope you are all doing well. Hope life is treating you well. It seems like Twitch is on, so I'll just pause it. I don't want to waste too much of my bandwidth watching my stream in a million places, because it ends up bogging down my internet. And for some reason, I get a bunch of alerts saying like your bitrate isn't high enough, or some stuff like that. I don't know. But it seems like everything's smooth. I've got my tablet going, so at least I can tell if I am live and if something goes wrong through there. But hello, Ivan. Yes, long time no see. I hope you are doing well. I hope everybody is doing well. Can you? Okay, so we do have music. I just want to make sure that it sounds okay, that I can actually hear what's happening. Okay, so we do have music. Okay, and we're only a few seconds in delay, so that's perfect. Yeah, okay, so we're good to go. Hello, everybody. Sorry for like the really rough start. It's really hard when I'm streaming through Restream, which tends to make things a little bit complicated. There's like delays and different settings for different sites, and like I can't put the thumbnail through Restream, and I can't set it up on YouTube for some reason beforehand, so I have to like manually put it in as soon as the stream starts, at least as far as I can tell. I don't know. I'm not streaming consistently enough on YouTube to get the hang of how everything is done yet. I will eventually, but I haven't yet. I apologize for the lack of streams everywhere. It's been really crazy over the last couple of weeks. Hyper, hello, nice to see you. Good morning, but in the evening. I hope you're doing well. Yes, so things have been really crazy. Life has been really weird. Hey, Tara, 20 months. Wow. I'm blown away by how much time has gone by. Thank you for the support, Tara. I really appreciate it. He. I hope you're doing well, Tara. I hope school's been going well. Are you excited for Christmas? I hope everything is ready for you, Christmas-wise. Yes, so things have been really crazy. I've been hit and miss when it comes to streaming. As you can tell, just like Hyper said, yes, I do have hair. So things have been nuts. I had a bunch of doctor's appointments, and I had, like today, you can kind of see it through the shirt. You can see the wires. I'm wearing, I don't know if I can get it on camera. There it is. I'm wearing a heart monitor right now. So I had to go and get that done today. And I had an ECG done, and I had a doctor's appointment yesterday. I blew out my back a few days ago at work. It's been nuts. And the big thing is the hair. I'm going to have to talk about this a few times throughout the stream, but let's talk about it right off the top. I got sponsored by Lord Hair, which is a phenomenal hair company. They have budget prices, but their quality is insane. Because I've inquired about other hair systems with other companies, and they've quoted me at around $500 to start. There was one in particular that I was trying to work with, and he quoted me at $1,500 per system, which is ridiculous. Lord Hair is like a third of that price. It's insane. Or a fifth of that price. You know, they start at about $300 for their hair system, so the price is phenomenal. And as you can tell, the quality is pretty decent. Now, this hair system isn't exactly right for me, but it was because it was my first time ever doing this. The person who I was connected with had never met me, so he just took a stab in the dark based on some older pictures. So the only thing that's really not wrong with it, the only thing that it makes it not the right fit for me, is it's a little bit too thick. But it's still okay. It's just slightly too thick for my type of hair, but the hair itself is the right size and the color is pretty much spot on. It's just a bit too thick. But that's a I knew it was going to happen because it was the first time he was taking a stab in the dark and just trying to see what would work. And thankfully we found something that's decent. But yeah, I had to go out to Toronto to get this done. It's like a 2-hour drive from here. I met Aaron, who is phenomenal, and he cut this and styled it and applied it and did all the work and made it look this good. And so that took up my whole day that day. I was supposed to stream during the day here, but there was no way. I was on the road by about 11 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't get home till about almost 8 o'clock at night because of how long the drive was. There was a ton of traffic. I was there with Aaron for about 2 hours to get this all completely done. We filmed a video and everything. So it was crazy. You know, really long day. And then the next day I had an 8 a.m. doctor's appointment about an hour away. So it's been nuts. Like I said, I blew out my back. So I've been pretty much like doing nothing when I wasn't out doing a million things that were responsibilities that I needed to do. But outside of that, things have been pretty wild. Today was the last day of anything really crazy going on. Yesterday was Nora's birthday, so we had to celebrate that as well. So it's been a really hectic week and a half. But now everything is slowed down. Obviously, Christmas is coming up, so that's going to take up a little bit of time. But nothing insane outside of that. So hopefully I'll be able to stream tomorrow. We're supposed to be getting a huge snowstorm. I'm in the Niagara region, and so in Canada, and I'm right by the river and the lake, and we've got rain. It's chilly and we've got rain. Apparently it's going to get colder later today or tomorrow. I can't remember the timeline, and everything's supposed to freeze over. If I still have internet, I'm hoping that I'll be able to go live for a little bit. Can't make any promises because Nora's staying home from school. But I'm going to try to go live on TikTok tomorrow, but I can't make any promises. Gina, hello. Nice to see you. You drove 8 hours today. Yeah, it's exhausting. Thrombose Blues, hello. Nice to see you as well. Yes, advanced Merry Christmas to everybody. Obviously, we may not see each other before then, so Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays to everybody who doesn't celebrate Christmas, and I hope everybody is staying safe and warm because a lot of North America is like being bombarded by this storm. Like I said, we don't have anything right now. It's supposed to hit pretty hard in the next couple of days or in the next couple of hours, but even then I don't think it's going to be that bad just because I'm right by the river, and so I tend to have easier weather overall. Like we did get a big snowstorm about a month ago, but even then it wasn't as bad as what a lot of other people got, so hopefully it'll be okay. Yeah, your kids are so excited. I woke up and we got the email saying that they were going to be closed, but I was like half asleep and I was rushing off to go get this thing done. And so I just like I glanced at the email as soon as I woke up, and my understanding was that it wasn't going to be closed, that potentially it'd be closed. But then I went into the kitchen to grab coffee before leaving, and then there was a note there. It's like, school's closed tomorrow. I was like, oh, okay. She's torn. Nora really likes school. She's an only child, right? So she gets really lonely at home, and there's not really any kids in our neighborhood to play with. And so she doesn't have anybody to really play with. So she loves being at school because she gets to see her friends. But I think she's ready for Christmas. So she was excited that tomorrow she doesn't have to go to school. But most of the time she gets really upset if school's canceled or if it's the weekend or whatever. Inuyugi, are we talking 2 degrees Fahrenheit or Celsius? Same to you, Gina. I hope that you have a good Christmas with the storm, but apparently I missed most weather. And going to shovel the driveway. We bought a snowblower for the first time. We've been living here for 3 years now. The last 3 winters we did it manually. Alana did a lot of it last year because of my work schedule. But we got a snowblower this year because it's too much work. We have a very small piece, but because my car is not snow worthy, any little bit really messes with us. And so we got a snowblower just to make life easier for ourselves, especially because in the back we only have like a little small area for the dog to go to the bathroom. So we wanted to use a snowblower to get rid of that as well, just to make our life easier. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to using it. But if it's gonna have to be used, it's gonna have to be used. It is what it is. But so far we haven't had anything. Like we had no rain all day, and then in the afternoon it hit a little bit, but it's still pretty warm. So it's just rain. Like it's not even like slushy or like cold enough that it's kind of freezing right now. It's just rain. It's just rain outside. It's weird. I'm worried that when it gets really cold, it's gonna completely freeze over, and then it'll be dangerous tomorrow. But hopefully it won't be. GSR, hello. Nice to see you. So GSR, I have gone without the hat on stream before. What you are noticing is hair. I am bald. I'm not going to be talking about this all the time. I'm doing it now because it is such a big change, and people like GSR, people like Gina, Tara, Hyper, Inuyugi have been here for a long time, and they know that I'm bald. It's not something that I'm ashamed of, but it is something that I was uncomfortable with. And not in a like I want to hide it from everybody. In a I enjoyed doing my hair. I enjoyed, you know, styling it and cutting it and making it look nice. And when I went bald, it was gone. But I worked with a really great company called Lord Hair, and they provided me with a hair system. In case nobody picked it up, it's a wig. It's a wig, and it's a I guess a semi-permanent wig. Like it gets glued in place and it stays. And then in about 6 weeks, I take it off, I shave, I clean it up, and then I put it back on. I can shower with this, I can sleep with this, I can be out in the rain with this. It's like having my own hair with just a little bit of different maintenance. But yeah, so the reason I look so strange and it's shocking to see me without the hat, it's not because you've never seen me without the hat, because I've done many streams without the hat. It's that I have hair, and I haven't had hair. Nobody in the internet world has really known me with hair. By the time I started doing content creation, my video reviews, streams and stuff, I already was pretty bald. And I had some hair, but it was like the really, really thin, sparse hair. And then I almost always had a buzz cut, and then I went down to like full down to the skin. So for most of my online life, I haven't had hair. But before that, I always had hair. This was usually the length I kept it at like the shortest. And then it was always way longer than this. So this is pretty close to what I am, but because this deal was done so quickly, I only had about 3 weeks from when I got contacted to when I got my hair, about 3.5, 4 weeks. That's not a long time for your hair to grow in. So I stopped shaving. So I've grown some of it, and it's still going to grow in further, and then it's going to thicken up, and then it's going to blend a lot better. But I still think it looks pretty decent. It's not bad. But GSR, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing really well. It started to snow a little bit when you were heading in. All right, Hyper, you keep safe. If your internet goes out, I hope you have stuff to do, because that'll be really boring. That reminds me, I should probably download a bunch of stuff so I'm not bored either. But yeah, that's kind of where we're sitting right now. That is why I look strange for a lot of people. When I look at myself, I feel like I look like me. Every time I looked at myself before, I didn't feel like I looked like me. It was always like I was outside of my own body, if that makes any sense. So when I wore the hat, at least I felt a little bit more like myself. Funny thing is, everybody knows me with a hat, and that's kind of like my look now. I never wore hats growing up. I hated how I looked with hats. I always hated how I looked with hats. And I only started wearing a hat. I'll talk about this and we'll get into the gaming. I only started wearing a hat due to a technicality, not because I actually wanted to wear hats. Like, it wasn't like I was ashamed of being bald and I wore hats to hide it. That wasn't it at all. I actually, even while, like, when I had my sparse hair, I still hated wearing hats because then I'd have to fix my hair afterwards. And even when I was bald, I hated wearing hats because it leaves indents in my head, because most of my hats I have to adjust to fit me. And so the rubber band, not the rubber band, but like the stretchy band on the inside usually wrinkles up and then it leaves dents in my head. So once I wear a hat, I kind of have to keep it on the rest of the day. So I've never been, I was never a huge fan of wearing hats. I'm used to it now. Now I enjoy wearing hats. But the only reason I started wearing hats is when I first started streaming, I would use a green screen. And when I would use the green screen, because my hair was so thin, Greg Scott Bailey, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate that. No, I don't appreciate that. I don't need bots. That's not what I'm into. So thanks anyway. But no, not my thing. I don't know how to like do anything with this. I can't figure it out. I keep holding my thing over it, and it's like highlighting it if I want to pin it or if I want to reply, which I don't want to do either. I don't want to pin it or reply. I want to delete it. It won't let me. I don't know what happened. Hold on. Is it because, oh, maybe it's because I'm not in mod settings. Maybe I'm not in the mod version. I have no idea. I'm so confused. Mod view. There we go. Haha, switched it over. Anyways, so I didn't like wearing hats, and I used to do green screen. And one of the things that would happen is because my hair was so sparse, I couldn't, why can't I can only reply. Like, why can't I delete it? That is so weird. Whatever. Anyways, because my hair was so sparse, when I would do the green screen, the only way that I could fully like cut myself out from the background was to turn it up to a certain level. But when it was up to that level, my hair would disappear. And then I got the full like horseshoe thing going on. Even though I had hair, it was just the way that it was. And if I wanted to prevent it, I needed to add more lights. But by adding more lights, it made my scalp shine more, which made my hair look even thinner. And so it was one of those things where I only did it because I couldn't fix the green screen. And so I started wearing a hat to give that complete contrast so that I could cut myself out easier. And then it just kind of became the thing that I did, because I never used to show my background. I always used the green screen. And so that's kind of how it happened. And then I always used the green screen. I always wore the hat. And as I started to like fall into the rhythm of streaming, it just became easier to throw my hat on and go live. And, you know, I would go without my hat. Once I started showing my background, I would go without my hat and stuff. But most of the time I would wear my hat. And so it just kind of became a part of it. So people on the internet are used to me with the hat. But in my regular life, before I started streaming, I never wore hats, ever. And so it was really weird for me to get used to myself with a hat on, because I didn't wear hats. I never personally liked how I looked with hats. I got used to it now. Now I like how I look with hats. But originally, I always thought I looked weird with hats. So it's like interesting to see myself with hair again. Interesting to see myself again. Because to me, this is what I always looked like my whole life. Like I look older because it's been years. Like I haven't had a good hairdo in like 10 years. So I look older than I used to, but this is what I used to look like. A little bit less stylish. Aaron, the guy who cut my hair, did a phenomenal job with the hair. So a little bit less stylish than this, but this is how I always did it. Ozzy, how are you? Did I say hi to you? I think I said hi to you, right? Yeah, I think I said hi to you. Oh no, it was Thrum.
What up, Louie? New hair looks great. Laughing face, GG. Much love.
Oh my god. Okay, so you're the same one. Okay. I was like, I said hi to Blues. I was like, no, that's Thrumbo. I get it now. I get it now. Samo Sumo, hello. Nice to see you. Ah, Red Coin, thank you for the scare. Thank you for the scare. Whew, that was good. You got me good on that one. But yes, Samo, this is what I used to look like. This is what I always used to look like. So I've been wanting to try this for a while. Actually, I was looking at doing the surgery to get a hair transplant, and I was really, really interested in that. But at the time that I was like 100% going in to do it, my car started to fail and I needed a new car. So I bought a car instead of getting my hair done. Now I'm glad I didn't get my hair done because of the way my hair has been falling out. I would have had to do it again in a few years, and that would have been another gigantic expense, and I would have had to do it multiple times just to keep it up. And after a while, it just wouldn't have helped. And then I've seen guys who end up going bald after a hair transplant, and it doesn't look good afterwards. This at least is temporary. If I don't like it, I can take it off, right? I can wear this for 10 years and it can change. Like I can change the colors, not this specific head piece. I have to replace this every few months, but I can keep wearing a hair piece for the next 10 years, and I can literally have it go grayer as I go grayer, so it matches. And then, you know, when I'm 70 and I don't want to do it anymore because I'm old and I don't care, I can literally just stop doing it and I'll just be naturally bald and it'll be fine. So it's definitely a path that I am more comfortable with now. It's much more financially feasible. And I think it looks good. The only downside is that it's there's a lot of maintenance. And just like this moment right now, the transition of going from no hair to hair, and everybody that knows me kind of having to cope with that. Obviously, when you have hair, and everybody's used to not seeing you with hair, it becomes very obvious that it's fake. Although it's real hair, it's very obvious to the people who know me that it's fake. But strangers have no idea. Today, when I went to go get the heart monitor put on, I was talking to the tech, and she asked me how my day was going. And I was like, oh, it's stressful. I'm so tired. And she goes, oh, what's wrong? Small talk, right? I'm not good at small talk. I just kind of bleh. And so I was like, oh, I got my hair put in a couple of days ago, and it's just been a lot of like stress. And she's like, what do you mean hair put in? I was like, oh, this is a wig. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah. She goes, I thought it was your hair. And I was like, no. When I pulled my bangs back, you could see a bit more where the seam is. And she's like, oh my God, you can't even tell. So strangers who don't know me, they might feel like something's up. Like maybe I dye my hair because it's just so dark. But they couldn't tell. My doctor, my family doctor, I had an appointment with him yesterday, and I was telling him about it. I was like, yeah, I got a hair system put on, or I went and got a hair system. And then he goes like, did you get a surgery? He's like, 'cause that's pretty quick healing. And I was like, no, it's a wig. He's like, oh, he's like, I had no idea. He even thought I went and got surgery. So like, it's believable enough, right? I'm comfortable with that. It's just this weird moment of like people seeing the difference so immediately and having to kind of explain it to people. I'm not embarrassed of it. It's just a thing, right? People wear makeup. There are women who wear extensions and wigs and stuff. So it just is what it is, right? You wouldn't be able to tell. Face to face, it's slightly more obvious. On camera, so I'm gonna be honest. I don't think Aaron is watching, but if he is, listen to the whole thing, Aaron. Aaron is a guy who did my hair. He's amazing. He made me so comfortable the whole time. He was hyping me up the whole time, and I was looking at it and I was like, oh my God, like I don't know how I feel. Like I like that I have hair. But my concern was it looked really fake to me. It looked like a big poof ball on the top of my head. And I was like, oh my God. And he was hyping me up, and Melissa, who was in the room, and I think the guy's name was Omar. I'm really sorry if that's not his name. He was in the room. He was filming the whole thing. And he was hyping me up, and I was like, I'm just so scared that I'm going to walk out and people are going to be like, oh my God. Because there's a few people that I've seen that I'm like, oh, that hair is so obviously fake. And I was like, I don't want to be that person. Like, I want to be comfortable with my own hair, but I don't want other people to think I'm over trying, right? Because I've seen some guys that are like gray and then they put on like fully black hair, and it's like, it's really obvious. It's like, I don't want to be that guy. I just want to have hair. And I was like, I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel. And then I took a picture and I was like, okay, the picture's okay, but it was in the car. It's like, the picture's okay. And then I came home and I filmed the after for the video that I did for TikTok. And that's when I was convinced, because on video, it's much nicer looking than it is in real life in the mirror to myself. I don't know how other people see it, but I think it looks pretty decent. Like I said, it's a little bit too thick, but that was expected because we didn't know how much thickness I would need. I'm going to go a little bit thinner next time. But I like it. When I look at myself, I think it looks the way I should look if I hadn't lost my hair, right? Ivan, yes, it's going to be scary. It's going to be scary. But yeah, I'm very happy with it. I think it looks good. I feel like I look less tired. I feel like I look less, not less old, but like I look more refreshed, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like there are some guys that I've seen that they literally look 20 years younger when they put their hair on. I don't think I look 20 years younger. I don't even think I look 5 years younger. I just look like I actually got sleep for once. Whereas like before, no matter what I did, I always felt like I looked tired. And my acne kind of stood out more because I guess there was just nothing on my face except for my acne and my mustache or whatever facial hair I had at the time. Whereas now it's like, it's more balanced out. So the acne doesn't like stand out. The bags under my eyes don't stand out as much. It's like, I feel better. I'm much happier with it. So it's cool. You think I look younger? Yes. Yeah, I'm very happy with it. And yeah, I mean, if I don't look younger, I'd still be okay with it. If I do look younger, that's always a bonus. But I do think I look more refreshed and I look just rejuvenated is what I feel. Now I'm kind of like, I look at myself, and for those of you who don't know, I used to act, and I had an audition about a month ago, and it was down to me and one guy because the girl they had chosen me, and the girl they had chosen to be like my love interest in the story, she dropped out. And the backup girl they had was 19 years old. I'm 36, if you don't know. And so already the age gap was quite large, but she looked very young. And me balding, and especially because I was starting to grow out my hair at the time, you could really see the horseshoe shape. I looked even older. And so it wasn't going to work. So he cast another guy who was only a few years younger than me. Not much. I think he's like 32 or something like that. They cast him instead. And the big thing was he looks closer to her age than you do. I'm wondering if that would have happened had I had this hair when I walked into that audition. I wonder if I would have been able to pass as a younger person and gotten the role over the other guy had I gone in with hair. Because I told the director I was getting the hair, but even I couldn't imagine what I was going to look like with the hair before I had the hair. And so I wonder if I would have been able to squeak by and got the role. Retro evolved. I kicked Retro out of here. I'm the new Hollywood star. How are you, Falcon? But yeah, it's a strange sensation. I'm still getting used to it in like the feeling, because it feels like I'm wearing a hat all the time. So I'm getting used to that still. And like hearing the hair when I like touch my head or it touches anything, hearing it rustle. I haven't heard hair rustle in a long time because I haven't had hair in a long time. So that like those things are weird. When I'm showering today, when I was showering, you know, I wet the hair and everything to try to comb it out so it wouldn't get tangled, and having water drip in front of my face was really weird, because being bald, the hair just kind of rolled off my head. But here it was like the hair was hanging out in front and it was like dripping water. That was really weird. Or like when I moved my head, I saw the water splash, which was really weird. All those little things. It's like, those are the things I need to get used to over time. You're doing good. Nice, man. Are you ready for Christmas? If I wore a mask, you wouldn't be able to tell it was me. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. My only concern, I don't have it on me, and it's not on my phone. My only concern is all of my ID is me bald and about 30 pounds heavier than I am now, and with a mustache. So like I could not be any more different now than what I look like in all my IDs. And so it's like, I'm scared I'm going to get pulled over by the cops, because you'll randomly get like you get pulled over just to kind of get an inspection or whatever, especially right around Christmas season because people are out drinking and stuff. And I'm scared I'm going to get pulled over and he's going to ask me for my ID and I'm going to hand it to him, and it's going to be a 34 pound heavier person with a mustache and no hair whatsoever, so chubbier and full blown shaved head. And then there's me. And they're going to be like, you know, who is this? Like, you're not really this person. And I'm going to have to be like, no, it's a wig. And I'm going to have to like prove it to them so they can kind of tell that it's me. That's the only thing that I'm worried about. Ready to stop spending money. Oh my God, do I ever know that feeling? The pretzel. I am good. How are you? I hope you're doing well. But yeah, I'm ready to stop spending money too. The worst is this month I haven't been paid properly. Like last month I didn't get paid properly. This month I still haven't been paid yet. So budget has been really, really rough. So I'm definitely ready for Christmas to be over and not have to worry about money anymore. But yeah, that's kind of where we're sitting. Hello, Red vs. Blue Halo. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Yeah, so that's where life is. That's what's been going on. I need to buy a new wardrobe because, like I said, I've lost some weight, and a lot of my clothing is like really beat up. So I need to buy some new clothing, especially now that I've got the whole new look. I want to look fashionable, right? Like I would wear gaming shirts every day, all the time. And most of the time I was like in sweatpants or like in really, really like lazy pants. I never looked nice. Like, now I want to take care of myself a little bit more. So I'm excited about that. It just, that takes money and I don't have that right now, but eventually. Anyways, so anybody who's popping in, we are playing Resident Evil tonight. We are doing Resident Evil 2. We are playing on hardcore mode. We've done 2 streams with it, and we just met the Lickers. And I can't remember what we're actually doing in the story. I'm trying to figure out what to do. There are jump scares, so if you're wearing headphones and stuff, be prepared, because sometimes I do scream. I'll get an occasional jump scare and I'll scream, so be prepared for that. The game can freak me out sometimes, and I will also scream, so be prepared for that. I'm gonna play with the lights on for now, see how I feel. If I can't get fully like immersed and scared, I'm gonna turn off some lights and make it a little bit darker in here so I can feel a little bit more immersed, because I'm very much about ambience, and if I don't feel the energy of the game while I'm playing. Like if I'm in a fully lit room in the middle of the day, I'm not gonna get scared while playing a game. But if it's dark and, you know, it's quiet, I turn off my microphone in my headphones so I don't hear myself talk. So like that all helps to feel more immersed. But if I still don't feel it, I might just leave this light on and turn everything else off to kind of, you know, you'll see my face, but everything else will be dark. We'll see. We'll figure it out. Hawaiian shirts because it fits. It's been a while. Like I was never a very, very big guy. I was okay. It's hard for me to calculate how big I was because technically I was 224 pounds at my biggest, which for like a big guy, that's not very big. But for an average guy, that's considered big. I've gotten a lot of comments through TikTok and stuff talking about how like I'm like a bigger guy. But when I looked at myself, I never saw myself as like really big. When I would look at pictures, now when I look at pictures from back then, I'm like, yeah, my face was pretty round and pretty chubby. But I never felt like I was a big guy. I felt like I was thick but not big, if that makes sense. But everybody else around me tells me that I was big. So I don't know calculation-wise how big I really looked. But it was a while. I only recently started to lose weight, and it wasn't like I really did anything. I cut out a lot of soda. I used to drink like 4 or 5 cans of Pepsi a day, basically, for a while there. And I was having McDonald's almost every day, mainly because I work at night and driving around at night, it's like the only place that's open around here. So I would stop, grab McDonald's, and continue with my night. I have pretty much cut McDonald's down to like 1 night a week. And it's usually just like a McDouble and nothing else. I only drink soda when I am eating a meal. And the rest of the time, it's pretty much just water. Except for now, which this is an adult beverage. And then at work, I walk a lot. Like that, those are the big differences that I made in my life. And that has made me lose, 34 pounds. And I'm still slowly losing. It's been rough. It's gonna be rough for the next few weeks because of all the food and junk food and all that kind of stuff. But I'm working on it. But it's been a strange journey because I went from being like super skinny to being bigger, and now like I'm working my way back to being super skinny. And it wasn't like I got bigger for like 2 months. I was bigger for quite a few years. And so I lived that life, and now I'm on my way back. So it's been interesting. Quesito Guapo, hello. Nice to see you. There are 5 levels of fatness. But like for a while there, I was not for a while. For most of my life, I was like skinny, like really skinny. I don't know if I can find the picture. There's one show. I never really did a lot of pictures. I was always really self-conscious for no reason. Because now that I look back, I was like, no, I was a good-looking dude. But my upbringing made me very self-conscious, and I didn't like being in pictures very much. But there are a few pictures from shows that I did when I did theater a lot. And there are a few pictures that show my whole body. Let me see if I can find one in particular where you can kind of see my body. It's not great. The shirt is definitely loose, but like, hold on. I got to get the focus on so you guys can actually see it. Which way is the focus? This way. Is it? Oh, it's the NVIDIA thing. The NVIDIA thing's messing with it. Hold on. NVIDIA's messing with it. The NVIDIA broadcast. Let's turn off the background blur. Just for a second. Turn off? There we go. There we go. Okay. So this was me at the height that I'm at now, and I weighed about 140 pounds there. That shirt was a small, and you can see how it fit me. That was a small, and that was how the shirt fit me. And then this is a bit of an idea of like my jawline and stuff from how thin I was, right? Like I was a fairly thin guy. and then I gained a bunch of weight. And you know, life happens. You get older, you get less active. I stopped doing theater, so I wasn't as active as I used to be. And yeah, I let people get into my head. You know, I dated somebody, and at that weight, when I was that skinny, she used to tell me that I was obese and that I was gonna die in my sleep because I was so fat. Crazy stuff like that. So I let it get to my head. And so I believed I was big. And as I got bigger, it was harder for me to want to lose the weight because it just got worse and worse. Now I look at that and I'm like, that's skinny. I am way bigger now than I was then, and I feel good now. I feel like I look good now. So like I'm happy where I am. I would like to lose like 10 more pounds, let's say, just to get a little bit of the moobs and the gut reduced a bit, but I'm happy with where I am now. It took a lot of work. Not a lot of work, it took a lot of time. Well, Pretzel, I'm actually right by the New York, Buffalo, New York border. I'm in Niagara Falls. And so right across the border is Niagara Falls. Is Niagara Falls in New York? I think Niagara Falls is in New York, right? I'm in Niagara Falls. I'm sitting at like 34 degrees Fahrenheit right now. Like I'm actually not at 0 degrees Celsius right now. We're actually sitting at relatively decent weather. It's just raining outside. We're supposed to be getting like a really bad snowstorm, and it's nice here. It hasn't been very cold. Now, on the other side of Canada, out to the west, we're talking like a 6-day drive from here. They're sitting at like negative 40 Celsius Fahrenheit. That's where they meet. That's where they're sitting right now. They're sitting at very cold weather. And even like just a few hours from here, they've already got like 2 feet of snow. We've got nothing. We've got rain. But it's because I'm right by the lake. I'm right by the river. So the lake effect, and with the heat from the river, we end up losing a lot of the roughness of most storms. We still get storms. We still get a lot of snow, but nowhere near what everybody else is getting right now. We're supposed to be getting it later tonight or tomorrow. You just had your winter storm? Yeah, a lot of the US is getting their butts kicked. A lot of Canada's getting their butts kicked right now. We're doing okay. Like I said, we're supposed to be hitting flash freezing temperatures in the next couple of days or in the next few hours. Who knows what's going to happen? But right now it's nice outside. Nice in relation to the rest of Canada. But yeah, like I said, I'm feeling good about myself. I'm still becoming accustomed to my hair. When I see myself, like I have to look at myself, because first I feel like I have something like sitting on top of my head. I don't feel like it's matching me, but not because it looks bad, but because I'm not used to having that. Anytime I wore anything on my head, it was a hat, and the hat was right on my skin, so it was the same shape as my head. So I got used to that much distance and that shape, and now the hair sits on top. So it feels like it's bigger. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels poofier than it actually is. When I see it in pictures, it looks normal. But when I see it, it looks bigger, but it's because I'm just not used to it yet. But when I look at myself, I feel a million times better about myself. I feel like I look the way that I want to look. And I look the way that I have always seen myself, if that makes sense. Whereas like, I would feel like I looked good when I did a fresh shave on my head, and I made sure that I had shaved my face and all that. I always felt good. Like I look at myself and I'm like, yeah, I look pretty good today. But it was never me. It felt like it was the best of a bad situation. Whereas like now I feel like me, and I feel like I look good. So I feel great, which is really nice. Something that I haven't felt in a while. It's very, very hard to lose your hair. Some people don't fully get it. I've seen a lot of videos about people wearing wigs and stuff, and a lot of guys, mostly guys with hair, will comment, just shave your head and don't worry about it. Why do you care what people think? Or you'll see guys who have lost their hair, and almost always it's the comment of, don't let women make you feel bad about yourself, or I'm going to do this to get women. And it's like, that's not what it should be. And that's not what my worry is. My worry isn't about women. I don't care whether women find me attractive or not. Of course I want to feel attractive. I want to feel attractive to everybody because, you know, being pretty is nice. But that's not my concern. I want to feel like me. And that was my thing. And so it's like, people who have never lost their hair don't realize how much you lose when you lose your hair. And so for me, it was very hard because I was always the kind of guy that spent all morning, you know, at the time I didn't have much facial hair, but I would shave. I would make sure my sideburns at the time, like thin ice pick sideburns were in. I would do the sideburns right. I used to like spike my hair, but I'm talking like the perfect spike. So I would like manually spike every spike in my hair. I'd go and I'd get highlights sometimes. I always took care of myself. And then when I lost my hair, I lost all of that. And then even when I dressed nicely, I'd look in the mirror and I'm like, I don't feel like I look nice. And so like those things, people who have never fully lost their hair don't understand what that's like. And so they always attribute it to just be confident. And it's like, it's not about the confidence. Or they'll be like, oh, don't worry about what women say. It's not about women. Or you're doing it because you want women. No, it's not about that. It's literally, I want to look in the mirror and say, that's me. Whereas up until 2 days ago, I'd look in the mirror and it's like, that's who I'm stuck with. Whereas now it's like, no, that's me. And like I'm taking acne treatment and stuff, but like I've got scars. There's nothing I can do about that. And having hair makes this not a big deal for me. Whereas before it's like, no, I'm already bald and my face is scarred up. Well, now it's like, no, my face is scarred up, but I can still look good. So it's been nice. It's been really, really nice. Tyla, hello. Nice to see you. Welcome. What would I consider cold to wear hoodies, sweatshirts? I start whipping out hoodies at 60 Fahrenheit. I'm still just wearing hoodies to work. I won't hang out outside. I don't go outside very much. But like right now, I pretty much just throw on a hoodie to go to work. If I'm sitting in the house and I'm feeling chilly and then I have to go to work, I'll throw on my winter coat, like my parka. I'll wear it for like my puffer coat or whatever. I don't know what everybody calls it in different areas. But I'll wear my big winter coat to the car. And then once I get to work, I take it off and then I just don't wear it the rest of the night. And I just wear a hoodie the rest of the night. A pullover, a jumper, whatever you call it in your area of the world. That's what I wear. And I don't really start wearing a proper winter jacket until it's like -15 Celsius, which we're looking at. I think it's like, what's -15? Looking at like 10 degrees? -15 C2F. Not 15. -15. So yeah, about 5 degrees. At about 5 degrees is when I'm going to start wearing, you know, a coat of some sort. But most of our winters sit at around -20 Celsius, -25 to 30 Celsius for a big portion of it. So we sit at around like -13-ish on average. And then there are days where it gets bad. Like it'll get to -30, which is, hold on. It's hard because I'm using Google here. -30. We're looking at like -22. There are a lot of times where it gets down that cold. That's when it starts to get painfully cold outside. But it is what it is, right? It is what it is. I'm seeing messages come through. Sometimes I don't like shaving. Makes me feel naked. But look, it looks clean. Yeah. Quesito guapo. Thank you. I appreciate that. He looks at mirror cracks. I like having a clean shaven face. I prefer having a clean shaven face. I always had a clean shaven face. I started to grow a little bit of facial hair at around 23 years old. That's roughly when I started to grow facial hair, but I had like the mustache and then like a little line down the middle. And even my mustache wasn't very thick. It was almost like a teenager's mustache. Like it was the wispier style mustache, enough that it looked like a mustache, but not a clean mustache. And then I did like the goatee thing where it was like the full beard and the mustache, not full beard, but like the full chin was covered and the mustache never connected because I don't have very much hair, but the mustache and the chin. And I did that for a really long time. Then I did the mustache recently for a while. I've never really done a full beard because my beard is relatively patchy. It doesn't look so bad right now. It's gotten better, but it's relatively patchy. So growing a full beard is hard for me, but I prefer the clean shaven face. I feel like I just look more like me. I just didn't do it very often because, again, I had no hair. I like to change the way I look, and not having hair, the only option I had was my face. And so I would wear my mustache and beard different every time. But I prefer being clean shaven. Alana doesn't like me clean shaven. Most people, content creation wise, don't like me clean shaven. So I've kind of opted for the in between, the 5 o'clock shadow gives people some facial hair, but I get to still feel clean shaven. Although this is a lot of maintenance to keep the lines straight and all that, and it's easy to screw up. Felt those temperatures. Yeah, pretzel, it can hurt when you're looking at like negative 30 Celsius, which was what I just said in Fahrenheit, whatever that was, negative 22. When you're sitting at like negative 22 Fahrenheit, it's physically painful. Anything colder than that, it starts to get physically painful. When you're sitting at like negative 22, when you're walking outside and you start breathing in through your nose, you can feel your nose hairs freeze just from how cold it is. And it hurts. Trying to get like pump gas outside is torture because of how cold it is. And it's that kind of cold that when you come back inside after being out there for any amount of time, it hurts to warm back up. You don't just like, this is one of the arguments I have with a lot of people. A lot of people go, they prefer winter because when you're cold, you could just put more clothes on and you get warmer. And when you're in the summer, if you're hot, you can only get so naked before you're stuck. My big challenge to that is when you're hot and you walk into a cold air-conditioned building, a house, a mall, whatever, you're instantly relieved. When you're freezing cold and you walk into a hot building, it hurts and it can take hours to warm up again. Like you will be chilled to your core, and even though you're in a house and you've been there for half an hour in the warmth, you are still cold inside. I will take the heat any day versus the cold. I hate the winter. Love Canada. Hate the winters. Why do we even live here where air hurts our face? Right? Rex the Cookie Wolf, hello. Nice to see you. How are you? Is this Rex the Cookie Wolf? Is this, I can't remember your original screen name. But you had like, are you the one that has like the dog as your thing on TikTok? The dog with, I think, green hair? I can't remember your original screen name. Single digit and negatives. Yeah, so I'm from El Salvador, Central America. Tropical weather. Like it's literal jungles and stuff. I was there one time. I was there in like June, which is like their colder season. And it was like 15 degrees Celsius there. I don't even know. It's like in the 50s, I think. What's 15 Celsius in Fahrenheit? Almost 60 degrees. And they were complaining and putting jackets on because it was too cold for them. And I'm sitting there in shorts and a t-shirt because I'm going, this is nice. And like 15 here can be chilly, but 15 there is far more manageable than it is here. I'm sitting out there and I went and put on pants, but I was still wearing a t-shirt and they were calling me crazy because they fully had jackets on with like long pants, and some of them put gloves on because they were just too cold. And I'm going, you would not survive in Canada. It's bad. Mind you, the difference is humidity. Humidity can make a huge difference in temperature. Americans like to make fun of us when we complain, and same with the UK. Like they make fun of the UK too, I mean. When we complain about heat, the UK was melting when it was like 25 degrees, but they're so much more humid than we are here. So when they sweat, they cannot evaporate that sweat, so they don't cool down as much. So at 25 degrees, they are dying, Celsius, I mean, they are dying. Here, we sit at about 35 and we start to like really freak out. 30 to 35, we start to really freak out about how hot it is, which is getting close to like 85, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And Americans in like Texas, LA, they make fun of us. But our humidity is so different that at 85 degrees, it is unbearably hot here because it's not as dry. And so that makes a huge difference. So I'm sure in your area, that lower temperature might feel very different because of the lack of humidity and stuff. Like that would make a very big difference, or extra humidity would make a huge difference on how it feels. Try to yawn and then freeze. Exactly. You struggle with -8. But at the same time, it's the same, going back to it, it's also the way that your houses are built, the way things are set up, right? Texas freaked out when it was sitting at like 15 degrees Fahrenheit over there and like everything came to a screeching halt. But a lot of those houses don't have built-in heating. A lot of them don't have the proper insulation for heat, whereas we do. We're built for that kind of stuff. Like our infrastructure is built for that kind of stuff. Or like roads, right? We have salt machines going out before it snows, and plows out all over the road. Places like the UK and Texas don't have that infrastructure because they don't have that kind of weather. So when it does hit, it's a real big shock to the whole country because they're not ready for it. It wasn't super fun. Ninja, okay, how are you? How are you? It's been a while. I couldn't remember your name for the life of me, like your original name. How have you been? I hope you're doing well, man. I hope life is treating you well. But yeah, the only place I would ever want to live outside of here would be Australia. Despite the deadly spiders and dingoes and all that crazy stuff. I would have liked to live in Australia, but they have really strict rules about going out there to live. Maybe when I'm older. Maybe when I'm retired. Maybe I'll get a chance then. But yeah, okay. So I've done a lot of chatting. I've talked everybody's ear off. Yes, I have hair. Things look different. Life is going on. I'm not wearing these because I think I'm a hardcore gamer. I'm wearing these because I'm old, have arthritis and trigger finger, and my fingers lock up, and the pressure helps. Okay, there it is. I have spilled my guts to everybody. You're in college? Okay, being bald made me feel old. Getting my hair back and realizing how much younger I look made me feel old. You being in college made me feel ancient. I still think of you as like, how old were you when we met? Like 14 or 15? You're in college now? Oh my God, I feel so old. What state are you in, Pretzel? Or what's your home state? Oh my God, that made me feel so old. It's so weird. Once you've been doing this for a while and you see people that were children when you met them and then they are adults, oh, it makes you feel bad. There's been a few that were like, yeah, you were 14. Oh my God. I still think of you as a 14-year-old. I remember you as a kid. You've always been the sweetest person. So I'm so glad that you are doing well. Sorry college is kicking your butt, but it's worth it. It's so worth it. At the end, when you come out knowing a bunch of stuff, even if it's something you never use in your life, it's just the experience can be very, very educational, for lack of a better word. Like for me, I don't use my theater major for anything, right? Like I use it for TikTok and stuff, but I don't actually use it. But the experience was big. It showed me a lot. Okay, so you're from Illinois. I spent some time right in Chicago, actually. I got stuck in Chicago. I drove from Canada to El Salvador, which is typically like a 10 to 11 day drive. And our bus broke down. Our bus broke down in Detroit, downtown. Downtown Detroit, our bus broke down. We were forced to sleep at a gas station for 2 nights. And it was in a guy was moving down there. He had hired my dad and me to drive the bus down there. He bought a school bus. Back home, I'm going backwards and like leading conversation to conversation. Back home, they don't have city buses like they do in the States and in Canada and in a lot of the first world countries, I guess. They don't have like government-run bus systems. The bus systems there are pretty much, if you can afford a bus, you can pick a route and then just start driving a bus and charging people to give them rides. Obviously, when you're in a country like El Salvador, they're going to charge you for safety. So you have to deal with stuff like that. But this guy was moving to Guatemala, which is the neighboring country, and he hired us to drive a couple of school buses down there. And the one school bus broke down, and we were stuck in Detroit. School buses have some heating, but not immense heating. And it was one of those like really incredibly cold winters when we went. Oh my God, I wore every piece of clothing that I had when I was going to sleep because of just how frigidly cold it was. But anyways, we made it out to Chicago and then the bus broke down again. And we were able to park in a junkyard this time, a fenced-in junkyard. And we spent over a week and a half in this junkyard waiting for the part to fix the bus. The 10-day trip took 21 days for us to take. We went to Little Mexico in Chicago. It was really nice. It was beautiful. And we were across the lake from like downtown Chicago or a river. I don't know what it was. And I would just sit at the edge of it and just like stare at all the beautiful city lights. I took a bunch of pictures there. Chicago was really nice. I liked Illinois. It's funny because a lot of Americans think of Canada and they think all of it is like, you know, sled dogs and igloos. They don't realize that there's a lot of the states that's actually further up north than parts of Canada are. I am actually down lower than like, I think Washington is higher north than I am. There's quite a few places that are north of me in the States. 117, holy crap. Hawaii is 100, only 100, but 100 in a tropical island is humid. I am sure that 100 felt horrendous. I'm sure 100 in like Vegas is much more manageable than 100 in Hawaii. Although I would love to visit Hawaii. I would love to be there. Yes, Tara, go to sleep. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate you popping in. Have yourself a good night. I hope you have a good Christmas. We probably won't chat before then. Have a good Christmas. Merry Christmas to you and your family. I hope your kids have a blast. I hope you don't run yourself too ragged. I know as a mom, Christmas is not really a vacation. It's more of a running on all cylinders for like 3 days straight. But I hope you have a good Christmas. I love you very much, my friend, and enjoy the rest of your night. No, I will not be streaming on Christmas. I don't stream on the weekends, really. And on Christmas Eve, I'm having dinner with my brother. On Christmas Day, we're doing stuff with... Shush, Siri. Christmas Day, we're doing stuff with Nora, and then in the evening, I work, so I won't be streaming Christmas at all. 120% humidity. Exactly, Wesley. Good night, Tara. All right, let's do this. But yeah, so that's life. That's where we are. That's how life is going. Ninja, it's so nice to have you pop in. Shut up, Siri. I'm not talking to you. I don't know if you're still watching, Ninja, but it's really nice to have you pop in. It's nice to see you once in a while. When you comment on TikTok and stuff, it always makes me feel nice. It's always nice when you have somebody who's been there for a really long time come hang out. Okay, let's play some more Resident Evil. Let's stop Harris Heller's super chill out music. And yeah. Tyler, it is 11:30 p.m. for me. If you said you were in the UK, right? So you're sitting at like 5 in the morning. Like it's pretty bright and early for you, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, it's 11:30 at night for me. I normally used to stream in the evening for me. But because I work night shift now, right now it's my day off and Alana's at work. So I'm up because I have to pick her up. And so that gives me the opportunity to stream because Nora's asleep, Alana's at work, so I can stream. And then I stream on TikTok a couple times a week, but I do that much earlier in the morning for me. Actually, 12 hours from now is when I would be live. I might be live on TikTok, maybe tomorrow, hopefully. Usually I start around 11:30, 12 o'clock, noon on TikTok, but it's because that's when I usually wake up, have my shower and everything, and then I go and pick up Nora after school. So I take a little bit in the morning to stream because I'm pretty much home alone. Alana's asleep and I'm up. So then I stream at that time. So those are kind of the times I stream now because I work night shift. It's kind of hard to balance my times now. So a lot of the people that... It's 4:30? Okay. I can never remember if it's like 5, 6, or 7 hours. I'm always stuck in between there. But yeah, my stream is very different than it used to be. 1, I'm taking it less seriously. 2, I'm streaming at a very strange time, so all of my regular viewers can't really hang out because the people that are on my side of the planet are all going to bed, and the people that are on your side of the planet are just waking up. Whereas before I used to stream when it was like right after work for people on my side of the planet and right before bed for people on your side of the planet. Now it's the opposite. So I'm going to have to rebuild a lot of the viewership that I had before, but that's okay. I'm doing this more for like hanging out. I'm not really trying to make it as like a full-time content creator anymore. It would be nice if it happened. Maybe this hair will unlock those doors for me. But I'm just trying to... This is my unwind time. This is how I relax. I blew out my back. I haven't played video games in like a week. And I've been wanting to play VR, but this is new and I don't really want to wear the headset and mess up the wig. So I haven't been doing any VR or anything. This is kind of my unwind moment, and I'm just doing it on stream because at least it gives me a chance to hang out and chat with everybody. It's perfect for you because it's boring night shift. Oh, I know that feeling. What's the most common year for the state record highs to be set? No idea, Pretzel. I'm going to say 2005. 2005. That's what I'm going to go for. Just because the temperatures have all been going up and a bunch of records have been set in the last little while. 2005 is my guess. Okay. Let's do Resident Evil. Let's play. Let's play. I'm sure lots of people are fed up with me talking and want me to play. And if there's people popping in, they're like, "Oh, this guy doesn't shut up." So maybe they'll enjoy the fact that I'm going to be scared. Okay, microphone is muted. You can still hear me. Hopefully the game is loud enough. Nope. That muted my whole headphones, not the microphone. I wanted the microphone muted, not my headphones. I was like, it's really quiet for some reason. I don't know why. It's because I muted my microphone and nothing else. I mean, I muted everything else and not my microphone. Okay. Mute to headphones. So now if I do this, you can still hear me. Game is still going. Perfect. And I can still hear the game. So we are good. All right. Like I said at the beginning when I first started to blather on, we have been playing for a couple of nights now. I have met the lickers in the game. I don't know what we're doing. Wandering around. Just making sure Alana messaged me and I don't know what it was. Okay. Make sure my phone is off so that way if I get an alert, I do not see it. Stream seems to be running okay on my tablet, so I'm not going to worry about that. I just want to make sure I don't miss alerts from Alana. Okay, let's do this. Christian plays games. How you doing? Welcome. Hope you're doing well. Okay. Okay, store that. So we got injured right before we saved, actually. I think we got attacked by a liquor, I think is what happened. We got attacked. I think is what we did. 4 a.m. Are you just waking up or are you still up? Okay. All right. I don't actually remember where we're going. So we're trying to get to the third statue. You're still up. Oh my God, Christian, go to sleep. Mind you, I'm always up until that time because I work nights, but I can't wait to go to sleep. I can never wait to go to sleep. I love going to sleep. All right, so what did I pick up in that locker? I thought we picked something up in the locker, didn't we? Last stream? I swear we picked up something in this locker. We did. Move from the STARS office to the West office in the first floor. West office. Yeah, we got it already. Okay, we did get it. 1936. 13 state record highs. In a single day. Holy crap. That's crazy. Like you mean hours wise? Probably not, Christian, because I work night shift now. So it's really hard for me to stream at those times because the way my schedule works is I work night shift. I go to sleep when I get home and then I sleep until about 11:30, 12 o'clock in the morning for me. Then I get up and stream on TikTok, which is much earlier than I used to stream. Then I have to pick up Nora from school and then I have to be with her all evening. I used to stream at what was about 6 p.m. for me. From 6 to about 10 is what it was. 6 to 9:30, what I used to stream. But I have to be at work at 10. So I can't be streaming during those times. And I have to be with Nora. And Alana sleeps during those times. So I can't sleep at those hours. I can't stream at those hours anymore. So now I stream at around 12 my time. So if it's 4 a.m. right now for you, then it would be around 6 p.m. for you, roughly. 5 p.m. for you is when I would be live, but it's on TikTok. And then on Twitch and YouTube, this is the time that I'm live. It's the only time that I'm really live. Yeah, I was literally right before you messaged. That's what I was saying, is that my old viewers, the people here, it used to be right after work for them. And your side of the world, it's like when you're done for the night. And so it was perfect timing. But now my schedule is like in between those times. So everybody that used to watch me is now struggling to watch me because it doesn't work for them. But if you do follow me on TikTok, you might see me at a more reasonable time, closer to what it used to be for me. Cyan Wraith, hello. Nice to see you. Yes, I have hair now. I worked really hard. I used some essential oils, and I bought a whole bunch of stuff from Avon and a triangle, not a pyramid scheme. And I grew my hair back. I got rid of all the toxins, and in 24 hours, I grew my hair back. Actually, in a 2-hour session, I grew my hair back. Yes, I got hair put on, and I kind of like it. You still have your channel points? I don't have. Oh, I don't know if those are on. That reminds me. I'll have to check it later. Don't waste your points. I don't have any channel point redemptions. Nothing's enabled. I have it all off right now. I'm not concentrating on that stuff right now. I've been working more at like making the stream about like hanging out and not so much about trying to make the channel. Trying not to make this a full-time job, if that makes sense. Does that make sense, what I'm trying to say? But keep them, because I'll eventually get them back in. It's just right now, I'm literally just trying to chill out on stream. Okay, so we have that jack. We have a PC over there. Dial lock. This is the explosives, but I need the C4, which I don't have yet. Another dial lock. What's in the operations room? Chained door. Oh my god. Wraith, thank you so much for the sub. I really appreciate that. Hope you are you're enjoying the content. I really hope so. Turtza, hello. Nice to see you. Long time no see. How have you been? Christian, I don't know how many points you have now. Like I said, I'm not really working on that stuff. So I haven't like looked at what people are doing, but keep them because I'll probably eventually include stuff. So don't dismay. They might eventually come back and they might be worth having then. But right now I'm not really. I'm trying not to put too much pressure on myself, if that makes sense. The numbers really got to me before. You have 248. You'll get there. You'll get there again. Oh, crap. I'm trying not to take it too seriously. I'm trying seriously just make this a fun thing for me. Like a hang out and play video games type of thing. And not let's make this a career, if that makes sense. Only because it's like a lot of pressure to try to, you know, always come up with new ideas, come up with incentives, and always stay on the top. Ray, thank you for the bits. I appreciate that. 100 bits. Thank you so much. That's really kind of you. It was a lot of pressure, and then that made it. It's not that it didn't make it fun, because like I would love to be a content creator full time. I love making content, but it was I was doing well, but not well enough to make it my job. And because it couldn't be my job, I needed a real job. But because I needed a real job, I worked a lot. So I was always really tired to do extra stuff when I wasn't on live. And so it was I'm too tired to do stuff to make my channel better. But because my channel's not better, I'm not making enough money. And because I'm not making enough money, I can't do it full time. And in turn, I need a job. And because I have a job, I'm too tired. And it was that circle. And so the pressure was getting to me of like, how can I turn this into my job so I can quit my job? Instead, now it's just let's just hang out. If money comes in, then cool, I can buy games and stuff for the channel. If money doesn't come in, I am literally just playing video games and hanging out with you guys. And if it gets to a point where I can start making some serious money doing this, then hey, cool, I'll totally take it. The stolen R's, yes, the stolen R's. How dare you? That's your loop right now. It's hard. It's really hard. Metal Fear, hello. Nice to see you. Yeah, it's hard and frustrating because it's almost right there. Like I was making enough money that my Twitch payouts were about 1.5 of my paychecks at my old full-time job. So it was almost there, but if I quit my full-time job, it wasn't enough to pay my bills. And so I had to keep working. And so it was that frustration of like, I'm dedicating as much of my free time as possible to this, but it's not enough to make this my full time. And I have a family. And so it was I'm neglecting them to try to make this happen. And this isn't happening because I don't have enough time to make this happen. And so it was that really hard circle of it's right there. It's just right there. And I couldn't make it happen. So I took the break. I wasn't planning to stream. When I quit streaming, it was for good. But I got a new job. Schedule's a lot better. It's a lot easier for me to manage. And this has become my hobby. Like I needed a hobby. And so I'm looking at it that way. I'm going to take it seriously. I'm going to try to stay on schedule and have decent quality and make it entertaining. But I'm not going to be upset if, I'm averaging. Right now we've got 7 people watching amongst both YouTube and Twitch. I'm not going to beat myself up that it's only 7. A year ago, a year and a half ago, that would have been really hard for me to deal with. I don't care anymore. TikTok. If I make a video and it gets 20,000 views, I'm happy. If I make a video and it gets 800 views, I'm happy. The only part that bums me out about it is sometimes I'm very proud of the video and I'm bummed out nobody's going to see it. Not because it's like nobody likes me. It's more of the, man, I thought that was pretty good. I wish people would see it because they'd get a good chuckle out of it. But that's about it. All right, Tyler, have yourself a good sleep. Thank you for hanging out. I really appreciate that. Yeah, and being a reviewer would have been very successful back in like 2003, 2004 to about 2012. Back when like AVGN was huge. Back when, I don't remember what the other guy's name is, the guy that wears the hat and has glasses. Nostalgia Critic. Back when he was huge. Nowadays, nobody really cares about that kind of stuff. You have to really find a niche that people are going to be interested in if you're not going to do the regular streaming stuff. It's very hard to make it as a full-time content creator. It takes a very special person to have business savvy to make it happen, to be creative enough to make it happen, and to be entertaining enough. A big part that you can't just like, it's not something that you can just learn. It's not something that you can just eventually get to. A lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it is you either have it or you don't, and that's being entertaining. As humans, I'm not saying that nobody can learn to be entertaining. Everybody can learn to be entertaining. I have a lot of neurodivergent issues, and I'm not very good at socializing, but I'm very good at this. But some people don't have it, and a big reason is not because they can't do it. It's because as humans, we have a very hard time accepting that we are not good at something, or accepting that we are not what other people want, if that makes sense. So like when you're gaming, you might think I'm very good, but nobody else is interested in you. And that can be very hard to look at yourself and be like, why? What is boring about me? And it might not be that you're actually boring. It's just that you're not shining in the right way. And so like that can be very hard for people. So a lot of people will never learn to be entertaining because it's very hard to look at yourself critically and realistically. There are people that I have tried to help that they'll message me when I used to do a lot of video reviews, channel reviews, and they'd be like, what's wrong with my channel? And then I'd name a bunch of stuff and they would have excuses for all of it. But if I'm naming it, it's because that's what stands out to me. The excuse doesn't help you. It's the how do I fix it? There are certain things that are definitely out of your control, right? There are certain things that you will struggle with. Like there are people that have mental health issues and they can't be in front of the camera. And one of my suggestions is always be in front of the camera because it's nice to connect with the person you're watching. But that's not unnecessary. There are a lot of people that use, avatars. There are a lot of people that just use their voice. But you better be friggin' entertaining without showing your face. And that's fine. But you have to figure it out. Some people aren't willing to listen. Some people they have excuses for everything. For everything. And sometimes that's just going to be your downside. My big downside, I'm bad at socializing. I'm really bad at the social aspect of content creation. And it's like a three-way with what you need. Wow, that sounded dirty. It's like 33% of being very good at business, so learning how to connect and sell yourself and all that, having an entertaining stream, and then the internet connections afterwards. So talking to people, having a Discord, having a community. I am bad at the business and at the Discord. I can deal with the business. I can figure that out. I'm bad at the Discord stuff. That is my weakness. That is why I don't have a Discord anymore. That is why I don't even bother with trying to do something that would be a social thing for the group to watch or do or whatever. Because I'm not good at it. I struggle at it. I don't understand people and I don't understand socializing, but I understand that that's going to be the main reason I'm not going to get anywhere here. And I'm okay with that. Whereas there are other people that might have the same struggle that I have, but then they have excuses as to why they're not doing it and aren't willing to accept that that is a problem. And so that's always really hard. And so you get stuck in that loop, and it's hard to kind of accept sometimes that the loop is inevitable. Metal Fear. It's a dynamic too. Things can be up and down, so it's hard to commit. Yeah. Yeah, it's very, very hard when it's up and down. Concept of going through clones of popular games on PS. That's cool. That's really cool, Turtza. Yeah, Cyan, and that I have ADHD, and that's hard for me. I have the opposite. I forget about the game and I start talking. I always get somebody in the chat, especially on TikTok, that'll be like, just play the game already. I like to chat, and that's my thing, is my ADHD gets me talking, and I forget about the game, which is what's happening at this very second. So I have a very hard time with that. I'm more interested in entertaining than I am in gaming. I'm not very good at gaming anyway, so it works to my benefit because people like how I talk, but that can be very, very hard. It's very hard if you can't wrap your brain around changing the way you think. But when it comes to streaming, if you cannot connect with your viewers, it's a much harder struggle because the only people that really make it as a streamer who don't connect with their viewers are insanely good at the game they play. And I'm not talking about good as in like, wow, you're pretty skilled. I'm talking like top tier, among the top 100 on the planet level good. Outside of being that good, it's very hard to just ignore your viewers. That's a big part of what you have to do to become a streamer. And if the ADHD is what's causing it, you almost have to find a way to trick your brain into paying attention to people talking to you, whether it's like adding a sound effect that chimes every time somebody messages you, or having like incentives for people to make you pay attention to them, if that makes sense. But those are the things that you have to like look at yourself and try to figure out how you can deal with it, right? And it can be very hard. Chatting hits different. Yeah, and that's exactly it, right? Like I like gaming. I don't want to just sit here like this and just talk the whole time. I like to game because this is kind of my unwind time, but I like talking while I'm doing it. And someone cries, play already. It always happens. It always happens. But yeah, it's exactly it. The chatting part is the fun part because I'm not playing to be competitive. You're not watching me to see me win. You're watching me to get scared. You're watching me to watch me fail. And for us to chill out and talk. For a lot of people who watch streams a lot, they don't have a lot of friends that they can hang out with for one reason or another, whether it's because they work weird schedules or they have a hard time socially, or maybe they get bullied a lot. This is the time they get to hang out and talk. And so I like that about my stream. Whereas you can watch somebody like when Ninja was at the top, you could watch Ninja because he's good. I watch RE2 because I love watching him play and do things in Mario Maker that I could never do. And watching him fail and laugh and whatever. But I don't watch him to socialize. I have my own stream that I can socialize in. But you know, that's what it is, right? Yeah, there's actually quite a few people, Pretzel, that have built their channel around their neurodivergence. There are some people that their channel is literally about their neurodivergence, but some people make that a part of it. Like they make that because there are people like I have the ADHD that's more in my head than it is physical. I'm not the kind of person that jumps around and yells and screams and, you know, has high energy. I'm the one that my brain never stops. So my brain is always on the go. I'm always thinking. And Alana hates it. She refuses to watch movies with me most of the time because we're watching a movie and I'm on my phone. And it's not because I'm bored, but it's because my brain is always on the go, that I'm watching what's happening. And in those like quiet moments, unless it's a brand new movie that has me completely in its grasp, I'm looking up who the actors are. I'm looking up who that person in the background was. I'm looking who directed it. I'm looking up, you know, where it was made, when it was made, fun facts. And she hates it because she has ADHD, but she's the opposite. She's the one that has to pay full attention to the movie or she has no idea what's happening. And so she sees me and she thinks that I'm just bored and not wanting to watch it. Whereas I can't just watch it. So it can be very, your ADHD can help you if you learn how to kind of manipulate it. I've seen some streamers that their ADHD is more like Alana's, the more higher energy. Well, Alana, not anymore, but you know, the kind that like wants to do stuff all the time, and they can bounce off the walls all stream long. I can't. My brain is going all stream long, but physically, I've always been really quiet, which is why I didn't get diagnosed until I was an adult, because as a kid, I was quiet, but my brain was going a million miles an hour. Whereas my brother, his brain's going a million miles an hour, but his body's right there with him. Whereas I was quiet, but my mind was going the whole time. Preston, how you doing, man? Literally, I loaded up the game and I walked into this hallway and then I stopped talking. And then I started talking again. So I haven't done much. All I've done was talk. Talk. How are you doing, man? New game +4. And you've never played a single Dark Souls? Man, I need to get Elden Ring. I haven't yet, but I need to. I really need to. My Series X is literally sitting on a shelf. I have it connected to my projector screen. It's become just a projector screen media device. I haven't really gamed on that at all. I've pretty much just used my tablet and my VR headset and my PC. Even my PS5, Alana plays on that. I don't really play on that either. You're excited to tune in? Look, Preston, look how it looks. Nice big screen. Not bad, right? I think it looks pretty decent. I like it. It still has to grow in a little bit to like blend a little bit better on the sides. This side is a little bit thinner up here, so it's gotta grow in quite a bit. I'm really happy with it. I think it looks pretty good. I feel like I look like the old me. Not so much with like the slick back hair like I used to have, but more like when I used to spike my hair a bit more and stuff. I feel like I look way more like that nowadays. I'm gonna go. Can I do a little turn for you? Yeah, absolutely. Here, let me turn around. I don't know if the chair is blocking it or not, but it's not so bad. Obviously, it still has to grow a bit more. My hair was still very, very, very short. I only had about 3 weeks to grow it in, 3.5 weeks to grow it in. It's going to take probably like another month for it to be thick enough that it'll mesh a lot better. And then it'll be a much more reasonable combination. Plus, in a few months, when I get the replacement, I'm going to ask for a thinner one. I think they told me this was about 90% density, and Aaron, the hairstylist, suggested that I go for about 70% density just to get it a bit thinner, so it meshes a little bit better. But I think it looks pretty decent. Yeah, I got the Preston approval. I'm okay with that. Since I played Elden Ring, got about 180 hours. I've been farming levels for the past dozen or so. Oh my god, that's the hardest part of those games, but it's also the most fun once you have that power underneath you. Is ADHD part of autism? No, they're different, but they have a lot of overlapping symptoms. So this is what a lot of people don't understand. I'm not pointing you out. I'm not talking about you in particular, but this is what a lot of people don't understand. We see it a lot more nowadays because of COVID and social media and everything. There's a very big difference between reading about symptoms and understanding symptoms, because I learned the bare essentials because I only went to nursing school. I'm not a doctor, but a lot of symptoms are very, very similar. We had to learn a lot about medicine. And one of the things we had to learn was symptoms related to taking medicines, the after effects, right? Like the things that you would have to, the side effects you would look at. And almost all of them can cause nausea, diarrhea, dizziness, headaches, stomach aches, almost all of them. Malaise, which is like an overall sick feeling. Almost every medication has those as side effects. Why? Because your body can react that way to pretty much anything. But just because you feel that, it doesn't mean that that's a side effect to those pills. And just because you feel that, it doesn't tell you what pill it is. It's the same with illnesses. Almost every illness starts with an overall sick feeling, maybe aches and pains, maybe a light fever, some redness. Almost everything starts that way. Where you get the experts is where they start to differentiate tiny little details between one thing and another. Diabetes, for example. You can be diabetic and have low blood sugar or high blood sugar, but they're both diabetes. But high blood sugar is going to cause things like moodiness, sweating. You're going to have a sweet smelling pee. You're going to smell, your sweat is going to smell almost like paint thinner. Your breath is going to have a very sweet smell and smell like you've been drinking. But low blood sugar, you can be confused. You can feel achy. You can get dizzy. You can collapse. Totally different symptoms, exact same disease. And so the same thing happens with like mental health stuff. ADHD can cause a lot of hyperfixation, which is you fixate on something and you concentrate on it, and that's the only thing you can concentrate on. Your brain bounces back and forth, and you can, concentrate on a million things. You can be really socially awkward. You can have a hard time understanding what people mean when they're around you. Autism. You can have fixations. You can have interests, special interests they call them, where you are very, very, very obsessed with something and you know every detail about it possible. Autistic people, the biggest trait for them is it's very hard to understand social cues. That's kind of where it all came out for me, is that I have a very hard time understanding socializing. And so for me, I always just thought it was because I'm just weird. Preston and I acted together for many, many years, and I never went anywhere with it. And a big part of it was I was scared, but a big part of it was I never built the connections needed to find out about auditions, to find out about agencies, to, get work. And it was always down to, even when I tried, nobody was interested in continuing to talk to me after the show was over or after, I had met an agent or whatever. And for me, it was just like, I guess they just don't like me. Now it's, no, I am so socially awkward that I never built that bond that I thought I was trying to build. In high school, my friends would go out all weekend, and then they'd come home on Monday. They'd come to school on Monday, and they would talk about the great weekend they all had together. I was part of the group, yet I wasn't invited because I wasn't actually the one that they wanted to be around. They wanted to be around my friend, and I was the tag along. But I couldn't read the fact that they didn't like me. I was just part of the package deal. And so ADHD is struggling to deal with socializing because their mind is scatterbrained and they're just crazy and whatever. And sometimes they don't understand when people just aren't, feeling the vibe. Whereas autism is more, they just don't know how to read people. And so when people feel uncomfortable, they don't get it. Or when they say something that's socially unacceptable, they don't get it. They don't realize that they said something socially unacceptable. They can be very blunt. I am very, very blunt. I see the world very, very, not black and white, because I understand nuance, but I see the world very, very cut and dry. I have Facebook, and I've had Facebook forever. I know, old man thing. But I have friends that have gotten mad at me because I deleted them from Facebook. But I didn't delete them because I was mad at them. I deleted them because it's like, hey, we haven't talked in a year. Why are you on my Facebook? I don't need you on my Facebook. I delete you. Not because I don't like you, but because it's, what's the point? We don't talk. You don't care about me. So what's the big deal? And then they'll message me like, why'd you delete me? Well, we haven't talked in over a year. I didn't realize that was a bad thing. It's just, we don't talk. So, I mean, why would I have you on my Facebook? But they took it as an offense. I don't get it. Right. And so it's like, those are the things that can seem very similar between the two, but autism is literally a an inability to fully comprehend social cues. There are certain things about the way society works, the reading between the lines. There's a lot of struggle between reading between the lines. Whereas ADHD is the way that the brain comprehends time management, the way that the brain is able to organize the way you do things and how you do things. There's a lot of time management issues with ADHD, whereas autism is more about social issues. And the problem is where you're like me, I'm in the in-between. My ADHD makes me very good at talking and being able to do a whole bunch and think. But then the autism part makes it very hard for me to build deep connections with people and to understand people. And then I have a hard time with like changing routines because I learn routines. And once that routine changes, I have a very hard time with it. And so being spur of the moment and being able to, hang out with friends is very hard for me if it's not all planned out. And if my routine is broken up, I struggle with it big time. So they overlap, but they're not the same. Sorry, I blabbed on. I wouldn't recommend. Exactly, Wesley. You would pee and you would feel that it was sweet. It gets sticky, and you could pee on plants and stuff, and the plants would grow better, so you would know. Take good fences make good neighbors. Yeah, and so there's a lot of overlap between ADHD and autism, but they're not the same. There's just a lot of similarities. It's down to an expert to really tell you what's going on. Right. But a lot of traits that would be seen as autism to a regular person could also be narcissism. It could also be BPD, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder. I learned BPD is bipolar, but border personality disorder. It could be a lot of those things. It's down to the experts to tell you the differences. Now, for me with the autism thing, that is not a diagnosis I've gotten, only because I tried to get a diagnosis. And one, the diagnosis doesn't help. Two, as an adult, almost no doctor will actually worry about diagnosing you. Three, to get a diagnosis as an adult, especially in Canada, it's like $600, and there's about a 6-year waiting period. For me to just get a piece of paper saying that I have it when there's no treatment, there's no anything, what's the point? I'm just going to apply some of the tools that people with autism use and see if it helps. And so far it has. But yeah, there's a lot of nuances. So it's very hard to kind of see a couple of diagnoses. That's what the problem with TikTok is you'll get a couple of symptoms of like this. If you do this, then you're autistic. Sometimes you're just picky. You're not autistic. You're just picky. There's differences, right? Yeah. If you're diabetic and your sugar is high, if you pee on plants, the plants will grow better because there's a lot of nutrients in your pee. Because part of diabetes is that your body can't digest the sugars and everything in your blood, which is what makes your blood sugar go high. And so you just pee the sugar out, which then helps plants grow and stuff. So that was one of the ways that they would know. DM, how you doing? Welcome. How are you? Yeah, I've got hair now. But yeah, so it's autism, ADHD is very complicated. There's still a lot of stuff that's being learned. And a lot of stuff that people thought was strictly autism isn't always the case. Like for me, I'm good at making eye contact. I'm very good at making eye contact. But a big part of it is because I went to theater school. And in theater school, they forced me to make eye contact. I had many dates where the girls commented, because it was way more than one person, that commented that every time I talked, I wouldn't look at them. I would look at them when they were talking to me, but I would look away as soon as I started talking. And they would always say, why don't you look at me when you're telling me whatever you're telling me? And for me, it was just like, I don't know, I just have to look that way. But it just was what it was. Then in theater school, they literally forced us. There was a few classes I had to do it where I had to sit in a chair, and my scene partner would sit in a chair in front of me, and they would put us knee to knee, and we'd have to stare at each other in the eyes and deliver our lines. And I got in so much trouble over and over and over again until I eventually forced myself to get good at it. And now I can make eye contact, and now it's not a big deal. But it was hard. It was very hard. Is there any difference between the effects of each type of diabetes? So there's diabetes 1 and 2. 2, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure 2 is the one that you get later on. I want to say like diabetes 2 or whatever you get later on. It's usually because your pancreas is failing, and it usually has to do with gaining weight, being unhealthy. Not always, but usually. The type 1 diabetes, it's inherited, and it's usually your pancreas just doesn't work. And so your body just failed in that aspect. So 2, you can create insulin. It just may not be sufficient. A lot of the times it's because you are too big and you're overworking your pancreas, so it can't keep up. Whereas 1 is your pancreas just doesn't work. So you have to take insulin, and you could be super skinny, you could be super big. It doesn't really matter. And usually with 1, you start earlier. With 2, it's usually later in life. As far as your blood sugar being up and down is more dangerous. If your blood sugar is low, it can only go down Americans use different numbers than we do, but like our average should be between about 4 and 7. 5 is where you really want to be. Anything lower than 4, you start getting dangerous. Anything lower than 3, you're pretty much unconscious. And anything lower than like 2.5, you're dead. Whereas with high, 7 is considered starting to get to the higher number. 25, and you can still be perfectly fine. You're going to have a whole bunch of symptoms, but you could still be alive at 25. You might go into a coma about that level, but still, it's a huge range. Low can kill you almost instantly. High, you can do quite a bit to stop it. But low can be treated very quickly by just having a piece of fruit. High, you have to take insulin to bring it back down. So they both have their ups and downs. It can be there. It's dangerous no matter what. It's very dangerous no matter what. And if you're diabetic, 1 or 2, 2, it's a bit more frustrating because you can, a lot of the time you can do something about it. But if you don't take care of it, you will end up with really severe pain in your nerve endings. And it is the worst pain. Like the way it's described is like taking a flame and constantly holding it to your skin on your feet and your hands, or your feet. Your feet and your hands. Most often than not, diabetics end up losing toes, feet, legs, arms, because they get infections that they can't control. So diabetes is incredibly, incredibly dangerous. On the other side of the coin, if you're diabetic, you can still live a full life completely as long as you take care of it. As long as you measure your blood sugar, as long as you eat the diet you're supposed to eat, and you take your medicine the way you're supposed to, you could live 70 years with diabetes and not have any major complications. But most people don't take care of that. It's very hard to take care of that when sugar is in almost everything we eat. So hyperglycemia is high sugar. Hypoglycemia is low sugar. But diabetes 1 and 2 more has to do with the way your pancreas works and when it comes on. Hyper and hypo can happen with either. Gastroblaster, how you doing? It's been a really long time. How are you? But yeah, diabetes can be scary, but it's not a death sentence. If you get diagnosed as diabetic, it's not the end of the world. It's going to be a big change in life. I'm technically pre-diabetic. My blood sugar dips a lot. I've gotten a lot better now that I've lost some weight. Thankfully, I kind of passed the danger window because my dad got diagnosed at 35. I'm now 36. And when I first started having symptoms, the doctor was pretty sure that by the time I was 35, I'd be full-blown diabetic. But I've lost a bit of weight. My blood sugar is way better than it used to be. Like I used to be to the point where like if I didn't eat every 5 hours, I was having severe symptoms. Now that I've lost some weight, I'm good. I can go a whole 8 to 10 hours without eating and I feel hungry and I feel tired and lightheaded like everybody does. But I don't feel like I used to feel. I used to feel like death if I didn't eat, and you could see it in my face. Not anymore. So it's not scary. And I was more worried about like, oh, I'm going to have injections all the time. But it's not a big deal if you do have it. Getting by uni, nice. I did, Gastroblaster. I stopped for about a year and a couple months. I just started up about a month ago. Just started streaming about a month ago. Okay. Let's actually play. That's what we were supposed to be doing. So I'm heading up this hall. I'm going to go into the operations room. I want to see what's in here. But there are zombies everywhere. Everywhere. I don't have any boards, do I? I don't have any boards. Just go, just go, just go. Oh, crap. Okay. This is the room. This is the room. Okay. Yeah, man. How's university going? How much more do you have left in school? I know you were struggling for a little while there. Like it was a lot of pressure. But I hope you're feeling better about it now, and you kind of got the locker room. CAP. Yo, that's cap, bro. That's cap. Okay, the locker room is upstairs, right? Is it in the shower room? Is that the locker room? Or is there a proper locker room? Boiler, break, interrogation, observation. Yeah, I think it's up here. I think it's right here, the shower room right here. So this is the one that has CAP. Anyways, I know you were struggling for a while. I hope things are going well. 3 going so far. 3 still to go. But you're getting by fine. Nice. You're always going to have those semesters or like seasons within the semester that are going to kick your butt, that you're really going to struggle. I think that's just part of it. No matter what you do, I think it's going to happen. But I'm really hopeful that you will continue to have smooth sailing. It's nice to see you though. But yeah, I had stopped for about a year and a few months. Life got very, very stressful. There was a lot going on. Oh wait, there's health in here. There was a lot going on. Life had become a little bit too much for social media to take any precedence. I had way too much going on. And so I took time. Where is it? I don't see it. Oh, there it is. I took time. I wasn't going to stream anymore. Like the truth was I was going to quit streaming full time. Like full on, no more streams ever again. But I got a better job that gave me a bit more time. I had a little bit more freedom and I needed a hobby. I didn't have a hobby. You know, I stopped my music. I stopped acting. I wasn't really making TikToks for a while. I was doing nothing. So I thought I'd start streaming again to have some fun and kind of get back into the groove. But now I'm doing it way more casually. I'm not trying to pursue it as a job like I was before. But yeah, I only came back about a month ago. Haven't been super consistent over the last couple of weeks just because life has been crazy. Lots of stuff going on. But yeah, I stream here at around this time every Thursday. But I'm also on TikTok and I'm doing that a couple of times a week. I'm hoping to be live tomorrow. Can't make any promises. But I go live much, much later on Friday. So about 12 hours from now is when I might be live tomorrow on TikTok. I'm going to try to. I can't promise that I will be. My daughter's school's closed and there's supposed to be a huge snowstorm coming. So I can't promise that that's going to happen, but I'm going to try my best. Okay, so if I go into the library... Crap, you know what? I need that battery and combine it with the item. Yeah, man, it's nice to be back. It's nice to see some of the familiar faces, even though the hours are kind of weird and a lot of the people that used to watch me can't really hang out because it's like, what, 5 in the morning for you right now? 5 or 6, something like that. It's kind of hard not seeing the same faces all the time because my hours are so messed up, but it is nice to see them once in a while. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you hanging out. Why can't... Oh, is it because I'm out of space? Maybe it's because I'm out of space. Okay. We don't need these anymore. There we go. Yeah, 5 a.m. Are you just getting up for school or are you still up from last night? Okay, so for now, I'll just store this. I don't know where I can use this, so I'll store it for now too. That might be a risk I might regret, but I'm going to do it anyway. Let's combine the red herb with the green herb to try to get some health going. And now that we're here and we've done all that, I am going to head up to the library. It was a sign not to go back to bed, but fish are awesome. Fish are yummy. Unless like you were doing some weird stuff with the fish, then yeah, maybe that's a sign not to go back to bed. So if I go in this room, there's a map here. Did I just not pick up the map? Is that what happened? Ugh! There we go. Okay. Oh. Did I not check the linen? Oh no, it's locked. Never mind. I can't even remember at this point. I hate those dreams because you remember that it was about something, but you can't remember what it was. I hate those dreams. Okay, so I'm going to head up these stairs, which leads me up here. I go into the storage room. That's the barricade that I'm going to use to blow it up. But if I do that, I think a bunch of liquors come out. Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to do the thing right now. Only because I don't want to trigger any liquors to come get me in just a second. I want to go do that locker first. I want to see what's in there. And anybody who's interested in watching me on TikTok, right now we're doing Dark Souls over there. We're doing the 1 stat challenge, which everybody who's here knows that I've done that before. Oh, coughing hurts so bad. But we're doing it by myself. I'm not playing with my brother, so that makes the 1 stat challenge a lot harder. So if you are interested, come hang out. Halfway there, woke up for real, realizing that I had about 15 minutes to get there. That is a weird dream. About a half-hour drive to your job. Oh, that's the worst. I hate those moments. I have to be... I struggle for punctuality. As in, like, I like to be punctual. I do not like being late. But I like the routine of the time that I set. So, like, at work right now, I don't have to be there at any particular time as long as the job is done before the end of the night. But, like, I like to be there at, like, 10:15, 10:30, in that window. And that's when I want to be there. And whenever I'm late, it throws my whole night off. Or when I'm early and I show up and everybody else is still there, throws my whole day off. I have to be so particular. So when I wake up in moments like that where I'm running behind, I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate the rush. I hate the feeling of, like, no matter what you do, you're not going to be on time. But my body still goes, no, 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 I have to try to make it on time. I hate it. You're typically about an hour early. Oh, you're like Alana. I'm not like that. I like to be either right on time or like 15 minutes early. I did have a job that I really hated and I would be a half an hour early, but it was more of the, I drove there. Now let me take a break because I can't handle driving there and walking right in. I need a break to kind of get ready to torture myself. But I usually like to be about 15 minutes early, 15 minutes early to kind of take a breath before I get started. Even now, I get to work and I'll sit in the car for 5-10 minutes, just kind of, you know, catching my breath and getting ready to go. But an hour early, I can't do that. Alana does that. I can't do that. I need to be only a few minutes. I don't think it's this one. Try it anyway. Nope. But I do hate people that are late. And the worst part is, like, that's my neurodivergence. I like to be on time. I don't like being late. And if I'm late, I hate it so much. My family, though, we're Latinos. They are renowned for being late at everything. And it's an ongoing joke between my siblings. But the funny thing is, my brother's not as bad, but my sister is, like, typical. If we say we're going to get together for 4 o'clock, like Christmas dinner, my brother's like, I'm going to put it in around 4. It'll be ready for 6. And he's like, then we can eat at 6. I know that if I show up for 6, we're not going to eat till 7 because my dad won't show up till 7. And so, like, we're going to just wait twiddling our thumbs. Like, it's that kind of family. And it was, like, the opposite of what I liked. So it made it way harder for me because I wanted to be on time. Growing up, so many times, I sang in a choir for many years. So many times the performance would be at 5, let's say, we had to be there at 4:30 to get into our whatever we were going to wear for that show and to warm up and all that. My parents would show up at 5:15, and I would refuse to go in because they would already be on stage singing. And then they get mad at me, my parents, because I refused to go in. Well, you're only a few minutes late. But the whole process is gone now. And they just never got it. And they still do it. They still do the same thing. A lot of time. I'll clock in that early if there's something to do. Okay, okay. And it will forget you had. See, and for me, I don't have to clock in. The way that my work works is that it's more like a checklist, like get this place done and get that place done. Do it at your own leisure. So I could take the whole night to do one building, or I can get the whole building done in 2 hours and I get paid the exact same. So it's incentive to work faster because then in turn that makes my hourly wage higher. At the same time, it gives me that freedom of like, I want to go grab something to eat. So I'm going to go park somewhere and eat, whatever. Or like, oh, we're having dinner. I'll start work an hour late. No big deal. That's the benefit to it. But yeah, I've worked at places where it's like, no, if you clock in a minute early, it's wage theft and you're not going to work. But or you're going to get fired. It's like that. Okay. So I got very used to like clocking in on time all the time. The Latino culture is pretty well renowned for being fairly late. It's kind of just one of those things, one of those stereotypical things. It's not true for all Latino families, but it's pretty common. There have been many times my sister-in-law knows that we're supposed to be somewhere for whatever event at like 9 o'clock, and it's like 8:45, and she's just waking up to go take a shower. So it's very, very common. My sister's the same way. My parents. So I had a band for a really long time, years. I played music, and my dad was like the manager, but he was the bass player. He would make the deals, and we weren't talking like little gigs. We're talking like 1,000 people in the audience, and proper contracts, over $2,000 to hire us. And my dad would sign the hour we would get there, the hour we would set up, the hour we would get there for the performance, what time we would perform, when our break was, and when we would perform the second time. And typically we would start our music at around 10 p.m. It would be 10:15 and we couldn't find my dad anywhere because he'd be off doing something. Or we would tell the venue we'd be there at 8 o'clock and it would be 8 o'clock and we'd call my dad and he would just be getting into the shower to head to the venue, which was an hour away. And he's not a 5-minute shower. He's a 45 minutes to an hour for his shower, shave, hair, all that stuff. Very typical. Very, very typical. Maybe a half hour or so you dump sawdust into a bin. Yeah, it's not a bad arrangement to get it done in that amount of time. Where it really sucks is when something goes wrong. And because they don't just, it's not like they're going to pay you an 8-hour shift for one place. They calculate what it's going to be per hour, and that's what they give you. And it's up to you to work smart and get done quicker or lays off and take a little bit longer. But where it really sucks is like if they expect me to finish a place in 3 hours, but the machine breaks down, or a couple of days ago, someone shit all over the bathroom. And I'm not talking like all over the toilet. I mean, it was on the floor. It was on the garbage bin. It was on the sides of the toilet. I have to do all that and make sure I take care of it. That took an extra half an hour there. Then the machine was giving me trouble. That took an extra half an hour. So now my 3-hour job is at 4 hours. And then I had blown my back, so I had to walk slower. So that 4-hour job now took 5 hours, but I still got paid for the 3-hour job. That's where it really sucks, because sometimes there's nothing you can do to make it go faster, and you're not going to get paid extra for being there extra. Those nights, it really sucks. Those nights, it can be really frustrating. That's terrible, with all due respect. No, it's exactly it. And it can be very, very frustrating. It can be very hard, DM, to... I'm very, very punctual, and it can be very hard to deal with families who are not punctual. And in our culture, I'm a 36-year-old man. I cannot talk back to my parents, and I still cannot, I have argued with them and stuff, but like it's not really acceptable, no matter what your age is, to disrespect your parents. So it's very hard to kind of call my parents out when they're being that late. It's better now because now they're getting old and now they're acting more like children. And so I can kind of take that more adult role. But up until recently, if my dad was late for something, couldn't say anything, just had to deal with it. And that's actually how I learned to play the bass, because my dad was consistently late. I just started picking up the bass and playing it on stage because there was no other choice. Okay, so now that I'm here, what am I doing here exactly? Why am I in this room? I'm not supposed to be in this room. I meant to go to the locker room, which is up there. I fall asleep. just a bonfire. Just everything burns down. No big deal. Yeah, I mean, thankfully there's nothing too crazy at my job. There are some stuff that could happen. Like the one machine that we have can break your arm if you screw up with it. We've had a few issues where like somebody stayed behind after hours and we caught them. That was a little bit freaky. I wasn't there that day. It was Alana's shift. And that was a bit freaky. Or like my brother was at work and somebody came and just smashed the front window. So it's like stuff like that can be really hard to deal with. Or I've seen everybody getting towed in the parking lot and I'm working. And so I have to run out there and tell them, no, that's my car and I'm still at work. So then they have to leave my car. But outside of that, there's nothing really too crazy at work. It's just about getting done in time, which can be frustrating when you can't do it. How did I blow up my back? Being old. And that's not an exaggeration. I was having a lot of back pain for like the last 2 weeks. For no reason. It was just hurting. It felt like I had pulled a muscle, but I hadn't done anything. And it wasn't sudden. It was just like, it was just happening. And at first I thought it was the chair because I was using my old gamer chair. Then I got a mesh chair, a mesh office chair, but it didn't fit right for me. So I thought maybe it was just the chair was kind of off and it was causing back pain, but it continued. And then about 3 or 4 days ago, I was at work and I had to move a table, moved it. I put the table back. And then when I moved the table, there's stuff on top of it. So I moved it and I stopped to see if anything fell over. And then as I was just standing there, all of a sudden it just spasmed and I collapsed to the floor. And then that was it. I was walking, but it was like really slow. It was really painful. It was like that for the last few days. And even, was it yesterday? Yesterday was Wednesday. No, it was the day before yesterday. The day before. So I blew my back out on the Monday. And then yesterday was Wednesday. So Tuesday when I was at work, my back was still in severe pain. I wasn't supposed to go into work, but Alana got sick. She couldn't cover me, so I went in. And I collapsed 3 times at work just from the severe pain. Because the thing is, the pain is always there, and then sometimes it'll slightly spasm, and then my knees give out, and so I just fall right to the ground. It's been bad. It's been really bad. Today, I'm in pain, but I'm just sore. I'm not spasming as much. I'm having small spasms, but not enough to buckle my knees. Right now that I'm sitting here, because I have lumbar support, it's pressuring the muscles that spasm, so I'm doing okay. But it was rough, but it was no reason. Just I tore ligaments in my back a long time ago when I was about 16, so 20 years ago. Apparently it's done some permanent damage, and so the spasms I think are just from that they randomly happen sometimes, but not good. Not good. Hello, Seven. How are you? How are things, Seven? Did you stream today? But getting old can suck sometimes. I'm hoping that with some of the weight loss and everything, having more physical job, the spasms will ease up. I had a job where I sat a lot for quite a few years, so that made the back pain worse. I'm hoping now that things will get better over the next little while. Okay, so we're up here. This is the shower. You had to work. Gross. How was work? Outside of being work and terrible. What do you think, Seven? Do I look weird with hair? Do I look weird with hair? That's it. That's all I came here for is just shotgun shells. I mean, that's good, but still. Well, I guess I need them for the liquors. Okay, let's go blow that room up. You think I look weird with hair? Yeah, I was saying it at the beginning of the stream. Nobody on, like, nobody from the internet that follows me or has watched my stuff really knows me with hair, because from the time I started streaming, I was already thin, and I pretty much started buzz cutting my hair shortly after I started streaming. So I've always had very, very short hair on stream. So nobody really knows me with hair. But I started streaming at the age of about 29. But from 29 and before, I always had hair. And from about the age of 19 to 29, I had hair about this length all the time. I never, ever had short hair. And even when I had it short, it was still relatively thick. It was still close to this length. I never, ever had short hair. And I never shaved. I shaved my head once in grade 1, and I hated it and never did it again. I was even saying it earlier. I never used to wear hats up until I started streaming. I never wore hats, and the only reason I started wearing hats is because I used to use a green screen, and because my hair was so thin, when I would do the green screen, it would erase a lot of my hair, and with the lights, my scalp would shine, and it gave me like the horseshoe thing really severely, so I stopped using my hair, and I started wearing hats just for like the contrast, so the green screen would work better, and that's why I started wearing hats. I hated wearing hats before. Now I'm used to it. Now I like hats, but I hated wearing hats. I never wore hats my whole life. I never had short hair. I always had very, very thick hair. So for me, when I look at myself, this is what I always looked like. So for me, it's just, this is what I'm supposed to look like. For the internet, it's very weird because I've never had hair for you guys. So for you guys, this is the opposite. This is like, why would I do this when I looked fine before? For me, it was that I had no choice, but that's what I used to look like. 7, gonna make me blush. But this is what I always look like. So when I look in the camera now and I look in the mirror, I see me. Whereas before I'd look in the mirror and I'm like, I see who I'm stuck with. So it's nice to feel how I used to look. Like, I used to look at pictures of me when I used to do a lot of theater and stuff, and I would see my picture and I would go, that's who I was, and I don't remember that, if that makes sense. Like, I miss that, and now that I have my hair back, I look at those pictures and I go, that's just me younger. Whereas before it was like, that's a totally different person than who I'm stuck with. And now I look at it and I'm like, no, that's just me younger. It's been nice. It's been really nice. Even though you guys aren't used to it, I finally feel like myself again. Long as in like not buzzed cut. Long as in like not short and spiky. Mind you, I've never had like long shoulder length hair. My long hair, and I don't know if Preston's still watching. Preston knows me this way. Preston met me when my hair was like this. Do I still have it? Is it still available? Delete it? I may have deleted it. But it's in the one video, and I should still have that on my phone. Give me a second here. Is this, yeah, this is the video. So you can kind of see it. I don't know, it's hard, but like my hair was slicked back. It's hard to tell because the camera won't show it that easily. That's actually Preston. My hair was always slicked back, and there you go. So my hair was always slicked back, and when I would take my bangs, like I used to be able to take my bangs and put it in my mouth. So it was never like long, but when you compare it to no hair, this is long. When you compare it to a lot of guys who have like the short little Caesar cut and their hair is really only like 2 inches long, my hair was like about, I don't know, maybe 5 to 6 inches long almost all the time. But it was never like full grown length because the reason I never grew my hair out super long, now this one's really blurry because it's really old and small, because my hair was always extra poofy and very, very thick. The hair I'm wearing now, this is how thick my hair used to be as a kid. So I didn't grow my hair long because it didn't grow nicely. It grew really, really thick. And so it wasn't very nice hair. So growing it long just wasn't an option for me. So I never grew it super long. I grew it semi-long. You're still there? Yeah, so Preston met me with longer hair. He saw the progression. And then we stopped talking for a while because he went off to college. He went and did his theater thing. I kind of fell off the face of the earth. And he was doing a lot with his acting. And so we just never had time to really meet up. And so he didn't see the complete loss of hair, but he did see the progression of where it went. And so he knew me with hair and he saw the difference. Whereas for me, not for me, for you guys just knew me bald. He saw me with hair. He saw me on stage. He saw me have all the different hairdos and then go to absolutely nothing. I have one sister, Pretzel. I have one sister. Thank you, Seven. Yeah, it's for me, right? Like I did the hair for me. And we were talking about this earlier, that a lot of guys, usually guys with hair, will have the opinion of just go bald, be confident, don't worry about what other people say. And bald guys will usually either go, don't let women tell you that you don't look good, or now that you have it, you're only getting hair because you want women. But the truth is, I want hair because I want me back, because that's who I was. And I losing my hair made me lose me. Now that's back. And so it's like, I don't care if women find me attractive. I don't care if guys think it's not confident to not have hair. It's literally about me for me. And so that's why I'm proud of it. And that's why I'm not afraid. I'm not going to talk about my hair forever. Eventually that's going to stop because it's just going to be the way people know me. But right now it's a shock for a lot of faces who have never seen me. And all of a sudden I have hair and they've never seen me with hair. But I did it for me. I did it because I want to look in the mirror and go, that's me. Whereas like I would look at these pictures and go, that's me. I don't know who this guy is in the mirror. Now it's like, no, that's me. I'm me. Mickey, bro's a greaser from the 80s. From the 80s? Greasers weren't in the 80s, really. Greasers were like from like the 50s. Unless it was Rapunzel, it's not that long. Mind you, I always put product in my hair, but my hair in that picture in particular where it's really slicked back, it's because I was actually doing grease and I would have a ton of hairspray on, and that was that particular picture was at the after party. But I had a ton of grease, hair spray and everything, so I would just wet my hair to get the hairdo they had out, and I would just comb it back, and then it just did that naturally. Yeah, and it started with that for me. It started with the spot in the back. It actually started when I did another musical when the makeup lady pulled me aside. We did the lighting test. So we were on stage. They check all the lights, make sure that the lighting is going to look good for your songs and stuff. And she pulled me aside the next night when they were working on our makeup. And she goes, I need to talk to you about something. And I'm like, okay. I'm thinking she's going to tell me that there's something wrong, you know, like that maybe I did something wrong that made her or somebody else uncomfortable, or that there was a problem with her doing my makeup, like maybe something was wrong, because I had like a big scar on my nose, right? I thought she was going to say something about that. And she's like, I don't know how to approach this. She goes, but when you're on stage, she goes, your hair is so dark that when the spotlight is above you, you can see your scalp. And I was like, oh. She goes, yeah. She goes, like, you've got a bald spot. I had no idea at this point. And so she's like, so we're going to use a special hairspray that has a tint to it, and it's going to dye your scalp so it doesn't show as much. And so that's when I first found out. And then I started doing that for shows. I would buy tinted hairspray and I would get black in my hair, in my scalp, to kind of blend it in. But as it progressed, it got worse and worse. And then I got really self-conscious about it. And because my hair was longer like that, I would slick it back. But when I would go sideways, you would see my hair and then it would dip right where the bald spot was. And so it was getting pretty bad. So then I did like a mohawk for a while. Not a crazy like punk rock mohawk. It was like a faux hawk. It was longer. And it was more like bushy. It wasn't like spikes. It was thicker. Like it was only pretty much just like the side, like almost like this, but just slightly up higher. And I did that for a while. And then once the bald spot started to become noticeable, even with that hair, because with that, the hair stuck up, so it wasn't as bad. You didn't see the dip. But once I started to really notice it, I just buzz cut. And then I fully shaved it, and then I stuck with it. And then it slowly thinned out. And I would grow it periodically, but it was thinning out. And then eventually it just started to get really thin. But like I said, it was more about me looking in the mirror and going, I feel good about myself, versus trying to impress anybody or like not being confident. It was more of like, I liked doing my hair. I liked the way I look with hair, and I wanted that back. And so I did it. That's pretty hot. I do think I look better. There's still some growth on the sides. It's only been a few weeks. There's still some growth to mesh it a little bit better. But I do think I look better. I look less tired. My face looks more defined. It almost helps me look skinnier because my face is less rounder. Or is less round. Yeah. It was pretty hard to hear I was going bald. Because other people noticed it before I ever did. My hair was so long, right? And because my hair was so thick, I never imagined that I'd be going bald. We assumed my brother might go bald because my dad was going bald. My grandfather on my dad's side he had the whole horseshoe thing going on. So we assumed my brother, if anybody, was going to go bald. But my hair was thick. Like you couldn't see my scalp. My hair was so thick. And I remember that I used to have to get a haircut like every 2 weeks because my hair would grow right out. Like no problem. And in high school, I got so many comments because my hair was very, 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 very black. It's still pretty dark. It's starting to lose some of its color because I'm getting older. But it was like this. It was very, very, very black. That I used to have comments from a lot of my classmates that they thought I dyed my hair blue because of how black my hair was. And in contrast, because I used to spike my hair with my scalp, the black almost looked blue in my hair. And because of how thick and dark my hair was. And so we never pictured it. And then when the makeup lady told me that, I was shocked. And then I started to notice it. And then I was always doing this because I was like, I can feel the dip in the hair. I can't feel my scalp, but I can feel the dip where it's thinning. And then when you're on stage, you can see it because the lights shine. And then it just like, it built up and it built up until eventually it just ate away at me. And then I shaved it. And then the buzz cut helped because now you couldn't see the difference because it was just all black speckles on my head. But as that thinned out, it became a chore because I'd have to buzz this like completely down to the skin, then go a little bit longer, and leave it a little bit longer in the top. So it kind of helped make this look thicker than the sides were. But then that was like every 3 days I had to do that. And that just became too much of a hassle. So then I went down to full skin shave because then that way I didn't have to worry about blending. I just did that every couple of days and it was fine. But I missed doing my hair. I missed feeling good when I dressed up nice. I would look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, no, because I said this earlier, not having hair means there's nothing to really accentuate my face, which then makes my face rounder, and then makes every feature of my face stand out more, and not in a good way. Like I have scars on my face from acne, and with no hair, those scars really stand out because there is nothing on my face except for black eyebrows. And so those scars really stand out. I still have the scars, but now I have nice hair that kind of helps blend that a little bit more so the acne doesn't look as bad. I don't look as tired. And right now I'm wearing just like an old shirt that I haven't worn in a while, and I feel like I look like I'm ready to go out and do something. Maybe not like clubbing or a party or anything, but I feel like I could go out, and if I were to talk to somebody, I wouldn't feel ashamed of the way I look. Whereas when I was bald, even wearing this, I still felt ashamed of the way I looked. And so like those things make a really big difference in having the hair back. It makes me want to try to look nicer, which I didn't really care for a really long time. And now I don't know what to do because I'm older. I can't follow, teenager trends. I can't look at TikTok and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to wear what those guys are wearing because they're like 20. But I don't even know where to look to see what is in fashion, what isn't, and how to look good. But I want to now, and I didn't want to before. And that's a big difference. That's a really big difference. Good night, Pretzel. Thank you so much for hanging out. Is the hair blue and black or white and gold? It's neither. It's actually burgundy. But it was rough. It was really rough. And you lose a part of yourself. I was saying this earlier again. People who have never lost their hair or not significantly lost their hair don't realize how much of yourself you lose when you have no hair. And again, it's not about, other people's acceptance. It's not about women wanting me. It's just I lost myself. I would look in the mirror and I'm like, that doesn't look like me. I don't feel like myself when I look at myself in the mirror. There were times where I'm like, I think I look pretty good. And then I'd look at the picture of me that I took later that day and I was like, I can't believe that's me. And then I'd look at pictures of me when I was like in the heat of theater and I'm going, I was handsome. And that guy's gone now. And now I look at pictures and I'm ugly. Like that's what I would see, right? And it's like that's not who I picture when I think of myself. You lose who you are, and that's really hard to deal with, and it's hard to explain. And in the society that we live in, men aren't allowed to talk about that. They're not allowed to say that. And the truth is, bald men are the butt of a lot of jokes. There was a whole thing that went on the internet recently where they were making fun of each other. Like 3 news anchors, I think it was sportscasters, were making fun of each other, and the one guy was bald. And they all started making fun of him and like really picking on him. And it's like, he just had to take it and he went with it. And I'm going, you guys have no idea how hard it is to be bald like that. And everybody's making fun of you over something that you have no control over, that you can't do anything about. And you just lose that. You lose the confidence. You lose the who you are, right? I'd walk into an audition room and I felt like crap walking into the audition room. I did my audition last month and one of my ex-girlfriends was in there. Somebody who cheated on me and broke up with me on my birthday. And I walked in and she was there with her mother and I felt nothing as far as her. Like I didn't feel sad when I saw her. I didn't feel angry when I saw her. I didn't care. But I felt humiliated because it was right before I was getting the hair done and I was growing it in and the baldness was showing and I'm bigger than I was when I was with her. And I'm just like, I feel so humiliated that I look like this because this isn't who I am. If I were to see her today and that would have happened, I would have felt like $1,000,000 walking into that room, whether this is real or not. And all of it because of the hair, all of it. I don't care that I'm bigger than I was back then because I can still look good. But being bald and bigger than I was back then, really hard to feel confident in yourself that way. So for me, I don't care that people think that it's stupid to wear something like this. I like it and I feel better. And most people aren't going to be able to tell that I have it because I've already experienced that in the real world in the last 48 hours. You miss your hair every day. Seriously, man, you should consider looking into something like this. It's hard. And thankfully, I'm self-aware enough that I'm feeling like I'm not going to deal with it. But it is hard for a lot of men because you do worry. Like this comes unstuck sometimes. And so it's like you're worried that you're going to be out and it's going to be unstuck and people are going to see that it's fake. Or you're worried that people are going to be looking at you going, oh my God, he's wearing fake hair and blah, blah, blah. That part can be very hard. The maintenance, there's a lot of maintenance to this. That can be very hard. And when I initially saw myself with hair, I didn't like it because I felt it was poofy. Because I haven't had hair in a long time. And so I wasn't used to seeing the weight on my head. As soon as I saw a video of myself, I was like, no, I love how it looks. It looks natural. But the change that I feel when I look at myself in the mirror within the first 3 hours was night and day. It's been huge. And now I'm excited to do more. I'm more scared that I get to a point where I won't be able to afford to do it. It's not cheap. It's not super expensive, but it's not cheap. But I'm afraid I'm going to get to a point where it's like, oh man, I lost my job. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to have to stop for a while. That's the part I'm worried about. But outside of that, like I'm excited to try a different hairstyle. I'm excited to potentially try something like growing the hair out because you can get longer ones. I'm excited to try something like a wavier hairdo, like just something weird and different or dyeing it a different color. I'm excited for all that stuff. It's really cool. Yeah, it's a toupee. It's a complete section from back here all the way around. They shaved it and it's glued in place. So it's stuck. It will not move. I can shower with this. I can go outside with it in the rain. I sleep with it. I only have to replace it. The guy who did it said I can go 6 to 8 weeks without having to like reapply it. But a lot of places have said like every 2 to 4 weeks just to like maintain the integrity of the glue and all that stuff. But it stays on, and it's not like it used to be. Like, because it's bigger, you can see it easier. It's not like what people imagine. People imagine the toupees from the 80s that looked like doll hair, right? That looked like really fake wigs. I have a wig over there. Like, I'll show you. Hold on. So, oh, my back. I've used this wig in videos, and it's not meant to look real, but this is a wig that I've used as a comedy bit. I use it when I play my mom in my videos. You can tell this is not very realistic hair. It's a little bit more realistic in video, but it's very clear it's not realistic hair. This looks like real hair. This has bangs, but when you pull it back, like you can see that it's not authentic. Whereas this, if I pull it back, you can see the line of where it is, but when it's not pulled back, you can't tell. I had a lady I'm wearing a heart monitor right now for my doctor, and the lady putting it on was face to face with me. And she asked me how my week is going, and I told her that it's been stressful. And then she's like, how come? And I was like, oh, I had to get a hair system put in and like a lot of driving. And she goes, what do you mean a hair system? Like, you got your hair surgically put on? I was like, no, this is a wig. And she goes, oh my God. And then I just pulled the bangs back a little bit so you could see the line more. And she's like, oh, she goes, I couldn't tell. And it's pretty authentic. Like when I don't pull it back, you can't really see the line, right? And so, it's pretty decent. Of the one TikToker, there's a few TikTokers that have been talking about their hair. That's how I got inspired to do it. I had been looking at getting surgery, and then I kind of gave up on that because financially it just wasn't a choice for me. And then I found out later on that my hair just isn't thick enough to be able to do it feasibly. But then I saw one guy on TikTok who had done it, and he didn't talk about where he did it. He was just like, I'm going to show you guys. And then he took it off. He was a really handsome guy. And then he took it off, and I was like, oh my God, I had no idea. And so I saw a few people. Some of them were really bad. Some of them were really obvious. Then I saw another guy who was like he disproved psychics basically, and he showed it. And I was like, wow, I had no idea. Now that I look at it, I'm like, okay, I can kind of tell, but because I've looked at a lot of them now, but I had watched them multiple times and I had no idea. Then the guy who did my hair popped up on my For You page, and I saw his, and I was like, okay, he's the third person I've seen with fantastic hair, and he is showing you all about it, and it looks so attainable. It was something that I could do myself, and he was phenomenal. He cut my hair. He was great. He did a really good job at cutting it, and this is the wrong wig for me. This is not a good wig for me. This is too thick, and he made it look good. They're much better now. They're much, much more realistic now. And again, this is the wrong one for me. It needs to be a bit thinner. That's nobody's fault. This is my first time doing it. I didn't know what to order. And the guy who sent it to me didn't know me. So he just sent me what he thought would look best based on pictures of me from before. But it looks pretty real. I can run my fingers through it. I can brush it. You do have to be kind of gentle with it or whatever. But not bad, right? JCO dude, hello. Nice to see you. Oh, okay. I haven't seen the one who sang the song, Mickey. I have seen an Asian guy who does it, and his looks really cool. His are really awesome. I don't know how he does his because they look phenomenal. But I haven't seen the singing one. But yeah, this guy did a really, really good job. Again, it still has to grow in a little bit more on the sides. It's been 3 weeks, so it hasn't fully grown in. He shaped it just to make it work with me. But in about 4 to 5 weeks, it should be thick enough that now it'll all blend and it'll just look like my hair, period. But it's pretty cool. And like I said, this one, again, not as good because it's so thick, but there are some that you can literally pull back the front of the wig and you can't see it at all. Like, you can't tell that it's there. And eventually mine will get to that when I lose some of the hair, when I get some of the thinner ones. But DM, honestly, I didn't expect so much confidence to come out of just that. It has been huge because I missed my hair. I missed my hair so much. And even when I got it, I was like, I'm preparing to like it for a day, and then I'm going to hate myself for it because of how much work it is, and I'm going to feel so self-conscious. And even though I know people will be able to tell, certain people will be able to tell, I know the vast majority won't. And I know that I feel better about it. And that was worth it all. I can't say enough. I honestly think that if you are interested and are willing to try, it's worth a shot, right? It's the confidence I've gotten from it. I can't put a price on it. I really can't. Get a skullet wig. I don't even know what I would do next. I do want to try something different later on. I think it would be cool to try different stuff. Yeah, exactly, DM. It's about what you feel, right? And some people are very happy being bald. There are guys with full heads of hair that prefer being bald because of the maintenance and all that. All the power to you. I liked doing my hair. I liked walking into I used to go to like the cheap, places that were like $20 to get your hair cut. But I used to like sitting down and just be like, do what you want. Most of those girls aren't as risque and aren't really up to date with like the cool hairdos. So I never got anything super crazy. But then I started to do my own hair. And then I just I would do whatever I wanted. Like I said, I buzzed cut one day. The next day I did like a mohawk. And the next time I did a mohawk. Then I would like do a Caesar cut. I did it all myself. I liked doing my hair. I liked trying new stuff all the time. And I missed it. And now I can do that again. Although like now that this is cut, this is the hairstyle I'm stuck with until I get a new one. But when I get a new one, I could try something new. I could do a full pompadour. I could do like the front up swoop. The spiky swoop. I could literally do like a full slick back one. I don't really like the slick back look with toupees, but still, there's options now. I've seen guys that have gone full long hair with their wigs, and they look great. I'm excited about that. But at least I only have one hairline. Get the ponytail trim. Yeah, that's what I'll do next. Yeah, exactly, Preston. The one guy that I contacted was about $1,500, and they looked great. They looked phenomenal. Then I saw this company, and I was pretty impressed with what I saw. And the price, like I think this one in particular is like $350, something like that. Which is in comparison to $2,000, $1,500, $300 is not bad. And they were willing to work with me. I talked about this to the guy who did my hair. I talked to a stylist who works with hair systems. That's what she does. She only works with hair systems. And I told her what I was doing. And one, she said I was doing false advertising. She said that because she was going to cut it, and she had a deal with her own company, she didn't want to be involved in the advertising. And I was like, I'm not going to mention you. I just want to get it cut and put on. And she's like, well, the thing is, I'm so good that wig is going to look phenomenal on you. And then she said this company sucks, that their hair is terrible. And she didn't want to convince everybody that the company was better than they are because her hair cutting skills were so good that people would think the wig would be better than it is. And so then I contacted the company. I let them know what she was saying. And then they contacted me with Aaron, which was a 2-hour drive. I didn't want to drive 2 hours. That's a very long drive. But I did it because he was the only person that I was confident was going to be good enough. If the company is sending me there, he's got to be good. And I think the wig looks great. And he did a great job cutting it. And so I was nervous because she said they were garbage, because the other guy that I saw did really good wigs was so expensive, and these were such an affordable price that I was scared it was going to look horrible. I think they look great. I think it looks awesome. And for a budget price, I can't complain. I really can't complain. It'd be nice to headbang sometime. I mean, you could always just buy like a cheap wig, like a cheap wig, like one of those like $50 ones, and wear it just to go headbanging. Because I've seen some pretty skilled people with like cheap lace wigs. I'm talking like $50 to $100 for a cheap lace wig, and then they put it on just for the day, tape it on for the day, and then take it off and go and headbang, go have fun. But I wanted something that I could do more long term. And I really like it. Again, this one's very, very thick, but like where the scalp, the crown is, it actually has like the crown, the little like cowlick at the back. When you look at it, it looks like my skin. Like you can't tell that it's a wig. It's really, really well done. The only issue is right at like the seam, and it's not an issue. It's just that's the only part that becomes more obvious. But like if I split my hair apart, you can't tell. It's pretty well done. Yeah, Preston, it's a really, really good price. And so in a few months, when I can afford to get it installed again, because the install can be somewhat pricey if you go to a good person, Aaron is worth every penny. You know, I have to come up with the money to be able to pay him to do it. I had the money now, so I'm probably going to do it in the near future. I'm going to ask for a thinner piece and get it done. The nice thing is I have a 1-year deal with them. So as long as I'm making content for them, they'll send me pieces as I need them. But like for the price, if I take care of this, they can last 4 to 6 months. And so $300, 2, maybe 3 times a year, it's not a bad deal. And once I get more accustomed to it, I can put it on myself and just go to Aaron to get him to cut my hair, which will reduce the price that he charges. And so I just get him to style it and I put it on myself. I trim it myself and everything as I get more confident with it. And then that becomes like $1,000 a year to go in and have nice hair, which I think is not bad, honestly. Yeah, some people do shave the seam, and like it's less noticeable when the hair is like this. It's better during the beginning of the day when I haven't been messing with it. I messed with it a little bit today. But yeah, it's only really noticeable if I pull the hair back, you can see the piece. But like on an average day, I usually make sure that I brush it so it's a bit messier in the front and you can't really tell. And then I walk around and nobody has any idea. Like I said, the lady putting the heart monitor on me was like inches from my face and she had no idea it was fake. My family doctor, I was with him. He was a couple feet away. But when I said it to him, he thought I had surgery. He hadn't seen me in a couple of months. He thought I had surgery. And I was like, no, it's a wig. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, this is real. Everything else is fake. He's like, wow, it's really well done. Yeah, so it's good. You just have to be smart about what you do with it. Because I've seen some guys who go a little bit too extreme. Guys that are like full like salt and pepper on the side and they go solid black at the top. Really obvious it's not real. Or guys in their 50s which have very thin hair and then they go super thick at the top. Really obvious it's not real. Or there's one guy in particular who does like the fake tan and then he puts it on too high or too low and it just, you can see the tan line and that looks really fake. But outside of that, if you're conservative with it, it can look really good. There are some people I have no clue until they say it that they had hair systems. Exactly. Precedent 7. That personal spray paint. I consider that stupid powder that you see people using. I considered that for a while, but now my hair is way too thin for that. But exactly what 7 and Precedent are saying, the personal confidence in yourself. There is nothing that is more valuable than that. For me, it was just more if I got the surgery, every certain amount of years, I'd have to do it again. And my thinning was so severe, it would have been a very, very large process to get it done properly. And the rest of the hair would still fall out, so I'd have to do it again. And by the time I'm like 70, I wouldn't want to do it anymore, but then I would have very obvious places where the hair was transplanted because you could see it. Once all the hair falls out, you can see where the transplant was because that hair doesn't fall out. And so it's like, I didn't want that long term. Feasibly not worth it. This, on the other hand, once I'm too tired to care anymore, I just don't wear a wig anymore and I'm good to go. Or if I get something done and I hate it, I can literally take it off, shave my head, and I'm good to continue. There's no harm, no foul, right? And that was why I took this risk, because Lord Hair was like, we'll send you the hair and make us a video, and that's the deal. And every time we send you one, make us a video. And I'm like, okay. And I even said, I'm like, if I really don't like it, I can put it on, make the video, lose a couple $100 to get it installed, wear it for a few days, and then get rid of it if I really hate it. But I love it more than I ever thought I would. And I'm more excited than ever to go for the next one. It's just if I end up getting the next one and it really doesn't work for me because, you know, it's the wrong hair or Aaron styles it in a way that I just can't do it and at home I can't make it work, I can literally just take it off and shave my head and I'm good to go. So it's like that is nice, having that ability to kind of move back and forth. So I feel very at ease with it. But when I look at myself in the mirror, I feel confident that I feel like I look good, which is something that I can't put a price on. Exactly, Preston. I only have one, and I don't want to spend it being ashamed of the way I look. I'd rather spend it feeling good about myself and being able to hold my head up high going, I still look good. The next couple of months are going to be rough as I start seeing people that I know in real life, and they're going to have that shocking moment of like, oh my God, knowing that they know it's fake. And certain people don't have the tact to just be like, okay. And my own voice in my head kind of being like, are they going back to their room or back into the car and gonna be like, oh my God, he looks so stupid with that on. But that lasts for a few minutes and then I'm like, I don't care. I feel happy with the way I look. And I'm excited for in a few weeks when this grows in and it's a bit thicker and looks a little bit more blended in. But I feel happy. I look in the mirror and I go, I like how I look. I look at myself on camera and I'm like, I like how I look. I'm excited to start filming more TikToks again. 2002 R9 wig. I'm going to go full Cisco, if anybody remembers Cisco from the 2000s. A thong song. Oh, God. Here we go. Oh, God. It's going to blow. But yeah, it's that confidence. Or like walking into an audition room. Here's an insight. Sorry, I keep talking. I'm very excited about this, and I haven't streamed all week, so I have like a lot of talking to do. Here's a bit of an insider thing for the men watching. If you can't tell, I'm trying to make it more obvious that speaking about the way you feel and insecurities and emotions is okay. We don't do that enough. But I went to this audition, right? And the girl that I was the one with the ex, and the girl that I was opposite of was 19 years old. I don't want to be a love interest with a 19-year-old. Very pretty girl, but she's 19. But I also know that a lot of the times on stage, age doesn't matter. I could have just as easily been with a 50-year-old woman. But what was eating away at me as I was in that audition room, I knew I was killing it with the scene. I knew that I was making very good choices on stage. You know, I was taking pauses and I was laughing at things that you wouldn't expect me to laugh at for that like kind of off-putting type of thing. I was doing really well in the audition. I was very confident in that. And then I'd look at the girl who was supposed to be in love with me. And all I think to myself as I'm in there is, she is 19 and sees this old balding guy pretending to be the guy that she's supposed to be in love with. And that sucks to feel that way. And having the ability to look at her now, not that I'm ever going to see her again, but to be able to look at her and know that it's like, okay, I might be older than you, but I look good. So at least I know that people could believe that you're attracted to me instead of the bald guy with the horseshoe on his head. And that is amazing. Like that is, I would never trade that feeling in for anything. I love that feeling. Oh God, did you just age yourself? I did, and I'm okay with it. I used to love Cisco. A BetterHelp sponsorship? No way. Screw BetterHelp. Screw BetterHelp. But there's a lot of stigma in men talking about how they feel when they're not tough. You know, if they get their feelings hurt, guys aren't allowed to get their feelings hurt. And that's stupid. Because we all get our feelings hurt. And we're all allowed to get our feelings hurt and to acknowledge we got our feelings hurt or to feel insecure about something. Because it just leads to a lot of trouble down the line. It leads to a lot of really angry people. It leads to a lot of really lonely people. And it leads to men not being able to find happiness in their life. That's not fair, right? One of the things that I said, when somebody asked me about, you know, wearing a hairpiece and they're like, you know, people are going to make fun of you. And I know they are. And it's going to suck. But women wear hair extensions and nobody says anything. A lot of people of ethnic races wear wigs and nobody says anything to them. Women can wear makeup and nobody says anything to them. Why can't I just put something on that makes me feel better about myself? Right? And I think all men should be allowed to do that. If they want to wear a wig, go for it. If you want to wear nail polish, go for it. As long as it's for you and because you want to do it, then who cares? Right? That's why I'm more like trying to be open about talking about it. I'm not going to talk about it all the time because again, once everybody's used to it, nobody's going to ask me about it. But if somebody does bring something up like that, I'm going to be open about it because I'm not ashamed of it. And I don't want other people to feel ashamed of it if they want to get it. So many of these videos of the reveal, the man is hiding his face because he's embarrassed. That shouldn't be a thing. They should be allowed to show their face and feel confident in showing their face, right? Ratio. I know, right, 7? Who knew? Who knew? it's by Better Wigs. Oh man. But yeah, it's so I try to talk about it openly so other people can feel a little bit more confident about doing it, even if it's secretly, right? It's like the nail polish thing. I started wearing this, one, because it would really piss off a lot of people on the internet, and I'm okay with that. And two, because my nephew started wearing nail polish. He is very autistic, and he started wearing nail polish. And I knew that he would get bullied for it. And so I started wearing it. Because if he sees his uncle wearing it, then it doesn't matter what other people say because he sees adults around him wearing it. And then when people make fun of me for it, I like it. I don't care. I don't care if anybody else does. I've had earrings. I got this one when I was in grade 1. So I must have been like 7. And I got this one when I was 16. I've had earrings my whole life, basically. And the amount of times people asked me if I was gay or asked me if I wanted to be a woman, and I didn't care because I liked it. And now everybody's got earrings because it just became something that people just accepted. So I want this to kind of be the same thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, DM. And that's it. Like, we are part of the generation that still has that. So I'm trying to make it that we start to accept it so the next generation can accept it, if that makes sense, right? Like, I worked in healthcare and I was in the nursing field, which is predominantly a woman-centric field. And most men who were in it tended to be gay. But it was because if you were a straight man working in it, they would make fun of you. And when I started in the field, I did it for 16 years. When I started in the field, in my class, my first class that I took when I started becoming a nursing assistant, there were 2 guys. And one was an immigrant and he had to take a course in order to get a citizenship. And the other one was a gay guy. And then there was me. And so like, that was it. And it was a class of 40. And so there wasn't a lot. And I worked for years where there were no men working with me at all. It was all women all the time. And so most of them assumed I was gay. And I don't care if they did, but it was just one of those things that a straight man wasn't seen in that field. And I got made fun of a lot for it. A lot for it. And all I had to say is try getting shit on as a straight man and not gag and not freak out and not puke and tell me that only weak men work in this field. And now a lot more men are in the field. My nursing class that I was in, there was about 120 of us, and there were about maybe 30 guys, a maximum. Still a very small number, but there are a lot more men in healthcare now. And so I'm part of that group that's kind of making it more acceptable for the younger generations. So it's kind of the same with this, right? Like talking about emotions and all that. For a lot of us, it's very hard to do. And most people our age aren't going to do it. But if they see more and more people talking about it, then the kids who are right now are 15, 16 years old are going to be much more comfortable doing it when they're older. And the kids who are 6 or 7 years old right now are not going to bat an eye when they're older talking about that kind of stuff, right? So start now to kind of build it up for later. Not everybody's going to be able to, but there are certain things that we do that our parents would have found impossible to do. So you take your battles where you can. I was dying, right? And that was it. I got it in the not gay year. And that was like the big thing back then. But then I got the second one done. And I remember when I got the second one done, it was still not very common that guys had both ears done. And yeah, I went through about 5 years of, oh, you got both ears pierced. It's like, yeah. Are you gay? No. Oh. Why does earrings decide if I'm gay or not? Why does it matter if I am or not? And mind you, I struggled with that because, you know, I grew up in a house where that wasn't very, my parents were very old fashioned and they're Latino and they're usually, at least at our home country, they were further behind, right? Like the whole LGBT thing isn't as far progressed as it is here. So my I had views that were kind of rough before. But like now, like that if somebody says I'm gay, it's not offensive to me. I'm not. It's like somebody walks up and goes, "Are you Mexican?" No. That's it. There's no offense to it. Do you have blonde hair? No, I have black hair. No offense to it. But, you know, in that time, there was an offense to it. And it was hard to kind of deal with. But we were part of that beginning crowd, right? Now you see guys in their 60s and 70s who have both ears pierced and are covered in tattoos. They were the ones doing that are like us right now, talking about emotions and nail polish and stuff, where we're the small group, but when we're older, we're going to be the ones that everybody's going to look at and be like, yeah, see, they were the ones doing it when they were young, and now it's normal for us to do it. You got tired of people asking if you were gay? Yeah. Yeah, and exactly, Seven. It goes the same way in the other direction, right? If women get into like you were a helicopter mechanic, that is like 100% a man's job, quote unquote. Seeing a woman in there is very, very rare. And so I'm sure you got a lot of assumptions out of it. And in gaming, same thing. How many women get destroyed for being in gaming and streaming? And it's like it's stupid thinking. And so I'm happy to be part of the group that's trying to stop that from happening. I also know that I'm not going to be the only one that saved the world, and I'm not expecting to not have to justify myself all the time. I know it's going to happen all the time. I still deal with it with my parents when I walk in. I've been painting my nails for over a year now, and I still walk into the room and mom goes, "Oh, the princess is here," because to her, she can't wrap her mind around that guys paint their nails. And I know that that's going to happen for pretty much the rest of my life. And I'm okay with that because I pick the battles that I want to fight. I also know there are things that I still don't get, but I'm not going to fight about them with other people if I don't get it. If you see a woman fixing it, I mean, Seven's intimidating anyways. Her hands are legal weapons, but yeah, I mean, I don't get intimidated anymore by stuff like that. One of the things that I think I'm most proud of about myself is that I am getting better at understanding that I don't know certain things, and there are people that are better than me at certain things, and that's okay. So if a woman is a mechanic, then clearly she knows more about cars than I do. I'm not going to be all like, you know, I'm a man, let me take care of this. I'll be like, no, can you do it? I don't want to get dirty. And you know what you're doing. I don't want to screw it up. Right? And I'm okay with that. See, and I don't take offense to it at all, DM, because one, somebody being gay is nothing to be offended about. The only thing that is offensive to me is when they act like I'm less of a man because I did healthcare. And it has nothing to do with being gay. It's just that's what people refer to as being less than a man. That to me is offensive, that you think being gay, not you, but that somebody thinks being gay is being less of a man. That's offensive. To me, being called gay doesn't bother me. And I actually preferred when women thought I was gay when I worked in healthcare, because back when I was more handsome, I would get women that wanted to date me, and I don't want to date somebody that I work with. And that was really hard. I fell into a problem with that where like a girl wanted to date me. I didn't want to date her. At the time I was like 21 and she had 2 kids and she was like 26. I didn't want that in my life. I didn't want to date her. They made my life impossible there because all her friends wanted me to date her. And then when I wouldn't, all her friends wanted me to get fired. So they did everything they could to report me. So I was happier when they thought I was gay because that way they weren't going to hit on me. And even now it still happens where like I'll talk to people and they're like, well, I mean, your mannerisms. And I'm like, it's because I'm not trying to pretend to be something I'm not. But I don't care if you think I'm gay. But I do get upset that people think that to be a man, you have to do certain jobs or do certain things. And that's stupid. Just like for women. Just because you're a woman doesn't mean you're not allowed to do something. Just do it. Yeah, no, I get it. I get it, DM. Oh, I was saying that your fists are weapons, Siren 7. That your fists are legally weapons. Yeah, DM. No, I get what you mean. I get what you mean. I totally get what you mean. But it's stupid mentality. It doesn't get to me anymore. Like, it doesn't bother me anymore if people think that. Again, when I was in nursing school, it was all women, and a lot of them were a lot younger, and a lot of them thought I was gay. And so when they would hear that I had a significant other, they would assume it was a man. And then when they found out it was a woman, they'd be like, "Oh, I thought you were gay." I was like, "No." "Oh, okay." And that was it. It just moved on. But it's that you're less of a man for doing something like that, for having emotions and wanting to care for somebody. That made you less of a man. And the funny thing is, in healthcare, 75% of the time, the men were far more compassionate and far more caring than the women were. But it's kind of the same when it comes to women in a man's field. The women tend to be tougher, harder, stronger than the men are because we have something to prove. By being a man, we have to be extra soft, extra passionate, extra caring because they're already scared of us being a man in that field. So we have to be extra good at it. And with women, you have to be extra tough, extra hard, extra, smart because everybody expects you to fail. So you have to be that much better to prove them wrong. And for a man, same thing. So I almost took it like a challenge when people would see that about me. Because again, the amount of men that I walked into a house and their mom needed care, and the men that would like puke at just the smell of their mother. And I had to go in there and like clean them when they were covered in poo. And I wouldn't flinch. But to them, I wasn't man enough. But they can't even stand the smell of poo. And I'm sitting there all day long dealing with it. And I don't flinch. And I could literally get out of the house and go and eat a sandwich within 10 minutes. While they wouldn't eat for the next 6 hours because they were so grossed out by what happened. So to me, it was always like, you think that I'm less of a man, but you can't do what I can do. Simple as that. Seven. Okay. I've been chatting so much. So chatty. It's been a really, really non-chatty week for me. It's been very, very busy, and I haven't had a chance to talk very much, so I'm enjoying this while I can. I got to stop playing soon, though, because Alana's going to be done work soon, and I got to go pick her up in a minute. Okay, let's get this thing. Let's go to the save point, then that's where we'll call it. Okay, so I think this is the girl. So it's the lady head, the bow, and the snake. Lady head. I can't see the bow. The bow. And the... Is that the snake? I can't tell. I think that's the snake. Yes, it was. Yeah, DM. And that's it. That's the change. Right? That's the change. Like, you know how you were saying you were a 90s kid and you're still kind of stuck in your ways for a lot of stuff? But those changes, our parents didn't see it that way. And so those changes will have an effect on your kids or the kids that are around your life or the next generation in general when you work with younger kids. That's going to have an effect on them. And for me, I worked in a full female field for years. I paint my nails. I've got fake hair. I talk about emotions. And that is something that'll take it. So like all these little changes are going to affect the next generations. And we can already see it with the Gen Z kids who have a very different way of seeing things than we do. We are far more open than our parents were, and they're even more open than we are. And there are things that I know I don't get and that I don't feel comfortable with, let's say. But I'm at least self-aware enough to know that I'm not comfortable with it, but that's not my problem, and I have nothing to do with it. And so I'm not going to pick on them for it. I'm not going to judge them for it. I'm not going to hate them more for it or love them less for it. And all those little changes make a big difference down the line, right? I was working with women in their 90s, and like I'm light-skinned. I'm not a very dark Latino, but I am darker than a regular white person. And the amount of times I walked into a home and a little old white lady literally called me the colored boy only because I wasn't white and I was the colored boy. and would refuse help because she doesn't get help from colored folk. But nobody our generation would call anybody colored unless they were a full-blown racist. And the generation after us, Gen Z, to them, they get like insanely offended by that. And I got offended, but I didn't get like, I knew it was going to happen. It was like, okay, that's part of life working with old people. Whereas those kids don't have to deal with that because our generation learned that that's not what we want to hear. And so it's like, it trickles down, which is really nice. You know what I mean? Exactly, DM. And there are going to be things that you're never going to be able to change, right? There are things that are ingrained in us, but we learn to steer around those moments. We learn to work with those negative things that we still have ingrained in us, things that we're always going to have, right? Things that we're always going to struggle with. But the knowledge of I don't want to be that way, and I'm going to do my best to be as accepting and as, understanding as I can be. That is far more than even our parents are willing to do. My parents are not willing to accept that kind of stuff, right? Like when I talk to them about ADHD and autism, my nephew has a full-blown diagnosis of autism. Doctors have completely gone through with it, and they won't accept him. And they just say he's only just a little weird, and that the autism thing, he's not that. So if they're not even willing to accept him, there's no way they'll accept me. And so they're not willing to accept that they don't think right when it comes to that. To them, no, we're wrong for thinking it. They're not willing to accept that things have changed. Whereas like at least you're willing to know things have changed and there are things I need to learn and I'm going to try to do better. And that's all that people can really ask for. And that's what matters the most. I think enough people are doing that in our generation that it's going to change the world for the next few generations, which is great. Yeah, change is never, ever easy for most people. Like I said, I grew up in a fairly old-fashioned home. Latino culture tends to be more conservative when it comes to like sexuality and mental health and machismo, being a man. There's very old-fashioned thinking when it comes to that. And it's not easy to change those thoughts. Whoa, crap. Oh, he's going to kill me. It's not easy to change those thoughts. I struggled with stuff like that for a while. I grew up with it. I didn't know any better. I accept that. I said and did things that were not acceptable.
What?
One of the things with Latino music is, especially music from my country in particular, not all Latino music, but music from my country in particular, it's very politically incorrect. There is a song that we performed. I didn't write it or anything. It's a very popular song from the 80s. The song is literally about a girl crying for her mom because the man of a certain ethnicity is in her room and she doesn't know what he wants. And then they imitate the man. And it's a lot of very racist noises to imitate his language. The character is supposed to be an African man. That is insanely inappropriate. The man who wrote the song is black. And he wrote that song. And I'm not talking about just making weird noises. I'm talking about like they come out on stage in a gorilla mask. They used to. They don't perform anymore. But they came out in a gorilla mask performing this song. Our music can be very, very, very insensitive. And my band performed songs like that. And we wrote a culturally insensitive song. And I learned from it now. But it was something that I had to learn. And it was hard to understand the different perspective. It's hard for everybody to change. And it's understandable that we're going to make mistakes and do things that aren't right and do things that are offensive. The key is understanding that, knowing you did that, and learning from it. The problem happens when you find out you did something like that, and then you double down on it. And it can be very hard for a lot of people to deal with that, you know? Oh, I died. I was too busy talking. But I think it's very important for people to need to change, right? Hi, we win. How are you? We didn't really do much. I'm literally at the save that we started the stream at. We didn't get anywhere. We're going to have to do it again next week. But yeah. Exactly. We all make mistakes. We all do things that are wrong. And we're in a time right now where things are changing very quickly because we grew up at a time when the internet was part of our life, right? Like people before us didn't have that. And so people who were living in other countries didn't understand how different countries felt. Right. And so like we didn't know what was offensive, like we as in Canada didn't know what was offensive to somebody in like France, or we didn't know what was offensive to somebody in Jamaica. But now we're in a world where the internet lets us know these things and lets us see these things and lets us change these things. So we are unlucky in the sense that we are the ones that are growing old on the internet and we're showing these things that we didn't know any better of. So we're going to be the ones that are going to be called out on a lot of mistakes. And we see it all the time with creators being called out on the things that they said and did that were wrong. But that is the burden we carry being the first generation on the internet. It's like the wig thing, right? This kind of all leads back to that. We are the first generation growing old on the internet. So we are the first ones that are doing the cringy, old-fashioned language. We are the first ones that are getting old on the internet. We made fun of old people on the internet, but because they didn't know, because they had never experienced it. So seeing the old guy with like his glasses on the end of his nose, what does this button do? Is this how do I send a text mail? And the joke is, haha, they don't understand the technology. Whereas for us, the joke is, haha, they're using the technology like old people use it because we're old fashioned. And us getting old and wrinkly and trying to feel young on the internet and the hair thing. So it's like we're part of that generation that's going to get beat right up because of all these things that we're going to deal with. The key is willing to accept that we did it, understand why it was wrong or why we need to do it in a different way, and you move forward and do it that way. I say and do cringy things, and I accept that I'm saying and doing cringy things on the internet, and I'm okay with that. I'll get people, my generation, that'll be like, or even young kids, oh, you're like 40 years old, you still play video games. I have a hobby. Everybody has a hobby, and there's no shame in having one. There's no different me doing this than it is when the group of guys get together to watch football on a Sunday, and they all cheer and paint their faces. That's just as embarrassing as this is, except we've all accepted that, but this is new. And so, like, it's all about learning and growing as people. Once you stop growing as a person, then what else is left? You always got to try to learn and grow. And it can be hard. It can be really hard sometimes. The notification came too late, we win. Yeah, I'm finishing. I have to pick up Alana soon. She's going to get off work late, but I want to make sure that I'm completely done so when she messages, I'm on the road to go get her. Yeah, it's the same with me, we win. There was a report that just came out recently, actually, that was saying that toys are selling at an all-time high right now because millennials, people in their late 20s up to 40s, are all buying toys. Things that our parents never did. Once they became adults, they stopped with all that. And we've all been buying them. Because we're okay with having hobbies and liking things that we know that, yeah, they were meant for kids, but we don't have to stop liking things just because we're adults. And like, I would have died to see an adult with the stuff I have. And if I, when I was a kid, saw an adult with all this stuff, I would either think something was wrong with them or they were the coolest person in the world. And for me, it's like, no, I just like stuff. Like, I like my video games. I like to play games. I like to get scared. I have fandoms. And there's nothing wrong with that. Exactly, we win. And that's exactly it. So, like, I'll get comments on my videos. Like, oh, whatever, man. Like, if I call somebody out in a comment, and they'll be like, whatever, man. Go back and play your video games since you've never grown up living in your mom's basement. No, I've got a hobby. You watch sports, or you watch your movies, or you go to the theater or listen to music. I play video games. You have no effect on what you're watching or doing. I actually, I make the outcome in my video game. So it's if anything, mine has more of a result for me doing it. But you're allowed to enjoy what you want. And so it's interesting. It's interesting being part of this generation. It's hard sometimes being part of this generation because we're getting the crap end of the stick on certain things, you know, having to deal with the way the economy's going, the way the political system in the whole world is going right now is pretty rough. The way everything is just going, it's hard right now. It sucks being this generation. But it's also interesting being part of this generation, kind of seeing where things are going. I'm hoping that I'm going to get to be the cool old guy who was like ahead of the curve. You know what I mean? Like right now, when you look at guys in their 70s who are like openly part of the LGBTQ, you know, they were the ones in the front lines back in the 70s. I hope that I'm part of that group of like the front line of being a nerd is acceptable. Talking about emotions is acceptable. Men working in healthcare is acceptable. I'm hoping that I'm kind of part of that group when you look back and be like, he was one of those guys, wasn't he? So it's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah, we win. Honestly, I don't know. I have friends that don't play video games. I have a lot of friends that don't play video games. Like Preston was one of the only guys that I talked to in my theater circle that played video games. There were a couple of others that played video games, but they were like, they knew of Minecraft, but they didn't really know gaming. They didn't know anything about games. And then I did my show a couple years back, right before the pandemic, when I did Rocky Horror, and those guys were all video game nerds, but none of my other friends were. And it's like, it's so weird when I think of a world without video games. Mind you, I did it for a long time. When my ex stopped me from playing video games, I didn't play video games for years. And it was hard to get back into it. But like, I don't know, it's just fun to kind of immerse yourself in a world where you can be a part of the outcome and you can like feel the result of the time you've spent playing it. I don't know. I don't know how people don't play video games. I really don't get it. Funkos. Exactly, Seven. I'm the same way. Like, I have so much junk, and I don't want to grow up. I like the stuff that I have. I like the toys that I have, and I like feeling young. Like I said, not like I said, like, that's one of the things with the hair, is looking at myself, seeing myself get older and not do it gracefully was hard, because I feel young. I don't feel old, right? My body sometimes doesn't agree with me, but I don't feel old. And, this makes me feel more like the age that I feel inside. And so like when I tell people around my age that I'm on TikTok, most of them react the way our parents reacted with Facebook. That they're on it and they have no idea how to use it or how to make it interesting. And they think that it's like a child's app, which, I mean, it is. But they don't realize there's a lot of cool stuff going on TikTok that is changing things big time. The recipes you can find, the do-it-yourself stuff you can find, the cool artists you can find, the hilarious talent that you can find of like comics and actors and musicians doing creative stuff is awesome on TikTok. And I like being a part of that. It is DM. I took 6 whole steps. I am a pro at this game. Oh man. Yeah, I'm happy with it. I think it looks good. I like it. I feel good about it, and I'm glad. Like I said, it's still something that a lot of people are embarrassed to talk about, the hair. I am part of that group that's starting to kind of make it open, right? Like I said, people wear makeup and stuff, and it's become common knowledge that doing makeup is just kind of something that people do, and that you can do magic with makeup. I want the hair to be the same thing, that wearing a system isn't a big deal. You haven't been on TikTok for a while? I just started getting back into TikTok the last few months. Like, I've always kind of watched, but I wasn't really content creating. I'm really disconnected with what's going on TikTok as far as like the gaming part of it. But I'm slowly falling back into it. I'm just having fun on TikTok now. I'm trying to just have fun with everything. Hello, Simon. How you doing? You literally caught me right as I'm supposed to be leaving. I have to go pick up Alana from work, and like any minute she's gonna message me that I gotta get going. But I hope you're doing well, man. I hope you have yourself a good day. Everybody else, I know we didn't do anything in the game, but we talked a lot, but I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I had a lot of fun talking about this. I'm going to try to be live tomorrow. I can't make any promises. My daughter's not in school, so I can't fully like dedicate myself to streaming, but I'm going to try to at least stream for a couple of hours tomorrow. If I'm not live tomorrow, it'll have to be next week. Christmas, I'm not doing anything Christmas. It is family time, it is eating time, and it is being lazy time. So I'm not streaming on Christmas at all, but I will be live next week if I'm not live tomorrow, even for a couple of hours. But it'll be on TikTok. So if you don't follow me there, feel free to. We're going to continue with Dark Souls over there. We're doing a 1-stat challenge. It'll only be like an hour or two that I'm live over there. But it's fun. Streams can be really weird there. They can either be like it is here. You know, right now we've got, 10 people watching? We had 13 at one point. Or it can be insane and we have like 120 people watching. So it can be interesting on TikTok. But yeah, if not, I'll be live here again next week. DM, it was really nice to catch up, man. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for popping in. I appreciate you being here. We win, not the same time as now. It's going to be about 10 hours later than it is now. I'm assuming it's like, 6 in the morning for you right now, roughly? So it's going to be closer to, oh God, what's 10 hours? Like 4 in the afternoon, maybe, around then. So so it's 7:45, 10 hours. So we're talking like closer like 5, 6 in the evening, roughly, is when I'll be live again. So if you want to pop in, that's when I'll be live. But I know it's like dinner time and all that, so it's kind of hard to make time at that point because it's pretty bad for everybody. But yeah, everybody, I really appreciate you all hanging out. I'll be live again next week at this time if you can't make it to TikTok, both here on YouTube and Twitch. And we'll continue with this. Maybe we'll actually make some progress and I won't talk a million times. Again, I can't promise for tomorrow, but I'm going to try my best, even for like an hour. I really appreciate everybody being here. And yeah, no worries, DM. You have always been one of those people that I know is busy. And so I know when you pop in, it's totally appreciated. But if you don't pop in, totally get it. Being an adult sucks sometimes. I get it. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I got to go pick up the missus in any minute, really. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the great chat. And yeah, I'm glad you all like the hair. I like it. I love it. And that's all that matters to me. But I am glad you guys like it because, you know, it's nice when your friends like what you like. All right. Thank you so much. Have yourselves a great night. And I will see you soon, I hope. All right. And if I don't, have a good Christmas and New Year. And I love you all. All right. See you later, everybody.